Good afternoon and welcome to Deakin Stadium. It's grand final day here in the nation's capital. Women's and men's back-to-back. Men's kicks off at 6 p.m. Women's kicks off very shortly. We're watching Belconnen United take on Canberra FC. For the winner, the spoils. For the loser, it's nothing. Conrad Gibbs, your commentator. Joining me this afternoon, fresh from his round the world jaunt, is Matt Moore. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks, Ross. Yeah, nice to be home and nice to be back here for grand final day on what's a magical day in Canberra. Good start to spring and the two best teams in town on the biggest stage, and looking forward to it.
You've been to Chile, Saudi Arabia and the Philippines. Nowhere else you'd rather be than Deakin Stadium on a lovely sunny spring afternoon.
Specifically booked my flight so I was back in time, Russ. Wouldn't miss this for the world.
Well, glad to have you back, mate. We'll have a look at the two teams in a moment. What we're going to discuss for most of the afternoon, of course, is the fact that to win this afternoon, Canberra FC need to breach this almost impregnable defence that Belconnen have got. They've only conceded 2 league goals all season. But we were here for a cup semi-final not too long back where it went to the very, very death and Caitlin Munoz scored an injury time penalty in extra time. If we get that level of performance again from Canberra FC, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. They're well within a chance, and you think back to that FFA Cup semi-final and the other games that they've played against them this year, they have created chances. And Nick Brosnich mentioned that in the week in the media, that they've had the chances, but they, for whatever reason, haven't been as clinical for Belconnen, against Belconnen as they have against the other teams, and a lot of that can be that perceived pressure. Everybody knows how strong Belconnen is at that back, and they probably feel like they're always under pressure. So the question is now, can you deal with the pressure of Belconnen, and can you deal with the pressure of the grand final as well?
Decent crowd in here for this one at the moment. There's a fair few on this side, on the camera side as well, enjoying the sunshine. As Matt mentioned, this is the 4th time they played this season. That Fed Cup semi-final, the 3-2 win for Belconnen, came in between 2 league games, 0-0 in round 1 and a narrow 1-0 win here from Belconnen United in round 10. Maddie Whittle with the goal there. She's obviously not involved with the club anymore. But the defensive situation for Belconnen offset perhaps by the amount of goals that Canberra FC has scored with their front three.
Yeah, that's right. That front three have been absolutely potent all year, and you think of Canberra FC's front three, especially with Britt Palumbi there, and you'd expect Mel Bunker to start today, and she's been a terror whenever she's been on the field. She's someone who can really rattle the composure of that Belconnen back four, and she is capable of forcing people into mistakes, so they've certainly got goals in them. The question is, can they create enough opportunities and finish them to ask some new questions of Belconnen?
Well, here come the teams. Belconnen United in blue, Canberra FC in red. Let's have a look at the two teams, starting with the league champions, Belconnen United. A familiar 4-3-3 for Anthony Jagarinic in his final game in Canberra. Sally James in goal, the back four, Lauren Keir, Karen Clark, Jessie Rashar, Bronte Pike. Midfield three of Michaela Day, Katie Woodman and Caitlin Munoz. Up front, Kira Bobbin, Nicole Jalocka and Kath Brown. Every single one of those outfield players has found the score sheet this season.
Phenomenal start, and we've spoken about it a couple of times, and I've never seen a football team that scored. Every outfield player has a goal, which literally means they're a threat from everywhere. And what they've done so well is everything has been done by design in this Belconnen team. They put you into traps. They know where your weaknesses are, and they look to exploit them as quickly as they can. So, situation that they've been in many a time before as well. So you would imagine the nerves are possibly less on that side of the field too.
Canberra FC with a 4-3-3 as well. Nick Brosnich's team as follows. Nat Vasta in goal, their back four. Bridget Wright, Ivana Galic, Isabella Tamaro and Alice Churchill. Krista Hagan in the holding midfield role. Jamie Berkeley and Rachel Goldstein in front of her. Their front three. Mel Bunker and Brittany Palumbi alongside Grace Gill playing in the number 9 shirts.
Yeah, a bit different there for Grace Gill in the number 9 shirt, but since she's come back from her latest injury, I think we were here when she came back against Monaro, she's grown and grown every week, and she was certainly one of the bosses last week when they played, and she'll be vitally important. And if the two centre-back combination of Ivana Galic and Isabel Tamaro, who's fondly known as Chicken to some, can deal with Nicole Jalocka, that takes a lot of the emphasis away and the ability for Belconnen to play, because everything runs through her. So those two at the back, Galic and Tamaro, will be absolutely vital.
Benches might have a big part to play in this afternoon as well. Belconnen United, Alexia Fauna, Maria Paci, Leah Carnegie, Jazz Zabel and goalkeeper Jayla Murphy. Canberra FC, Vanessa Ryan, Amy McLaughlin, Lara Agnew, Jordan Oida and Chantel Jones.
Yeah, and from one from each side. Fauna's the interesting one for Belconnen United. We've seen her start plenty of first grade game this year, and it seems like we talk about benches being very important at the back end of big games, and that's potentially why Fauna's coming off the bench. She's got immense ability to turn a game on its head, and if they, for whatever reason, need a goal or they need something creative, there's no reason that Fauna can't do it. And Chantel Jones on the bench is a great news story. You know, it's exciting to see her on the bench. And I guess the question there comes, if we get deep into that game and we potentially go into extra time and we look at penalties, we know what Jones has done in the past for goals for CFC and penalty shootouts. That big frame and her history. Do you leave a sub in your back pocket if you're Nick Brosnich to throw her on?
We'll answer that question, no doubt, later on. The two results today, if there's a little bit of symmetry that you want, the two teams that won the championships haven't won their games. The WNPL reserves, Woden Western beat Canberra Academy 3-0, and in the NPL 20s, Belconnen United were beaten 1-0 by a late goal from Monero Panthers. So if there's any hope, obviously, for Canberra FC, if you want to take something from that, to make of it what you will.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe there's a bit of jinx on that side of the bench, and it'd be interesting to see. Obviously something that won't necessarily bother the Belconnen United team, but it's something that's an interesting stat going forward. And you know, that's what finals football is. You could be the best all year, but it only takes one moment and the whole season disappears in front of you.
90 minutes plus possible extra time and penalties to decide. Canberra FC get us underway. Matt, interestingly enough, we won't get the champions of the men's competition winning their grand final either. And I understand, speaking of Frank Case in the week, preparing for the WNPL final series, the NPL final series, I should say, it's been something that's happened, an endemic throughout Australian football this year. I'll bring you in on that point in a minute as Bobbin makes the first run into the penalty area. Strange how the teams that finish top often don't go on to the grand final.
Yeah, that's right, and that's where there's always the debate. You know, you look at football around the world, and if you finish the league, then you win the trophy. There is no grand final series. But Australia is very unique in that respect, and we see it in our A-leagues and our W leagues, and it is that one-game knockout competition. Doesn't mean that you're the best. Doesn't matter if you're the best for the year. You've got to be the best on the day, and that's what this grand final today will be all about.
Anything can happen, of course. Men's grand final to follow, 6 o'clock. Gungahlin United versus Tigers FC. Meanwhile, here's Munoz. First shot in anger. It's a good one too, and Vasta got a hand on it and pushed it wide. Maybe she could have left that go.
Yeah, it's early warning shot from Munoz, and I don't blame Vasta for getting her hands on it. Normally when Munoz shoots, it's going in and around, and you don't want to take any risk early. A bit of a spillage with their hands there, but we know how threatening Belconnen are from set pieces, so a really big early test here for CFC.
They have got some tall timber that are good in the air. Rashard and Clark, the obvious choices. Woodman to take the corner. Delivery into the danger area. Rashard was there. Munoz got the touch. Glanced it across goal. Early signs of life in the Belconnen attack, as we expected.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a shorter corner there too. We know that they can go deep, and we've seen Karen Clark at the back win plenty. So a couple of early warning shots for Belconnen, and they're certainly looking very positive with the territory so far.
It's Berkeley. It's for Gill. Has it back again, the midfielder. Keir intercepts. Looking around the park, there's so many battles that we're looking forward to. Alice Church against Kira Bobbin will be a good one on the pace. Lauren Keir against Britt Palumbi. It might be a really key battle as well.
Yeah, I think that's probably the big one early on. If Keir can handle Palumbi early, that nullifies a lot of the attack for Belconnen. The really interesting one there is Goldstein in the middle with Day and Woodman. So Goldstein, we know, is super explosive, and she'll be trying to bomb on and get beyond Grace Gill there. And her being that second threat off the ball, we'll ask some really different questions that Canberra FC haven't asked before with that setup. That's a
very strong challenge by Clark. She's left Bunker in an absolute heap on the floor. That was a nasty landing for Mel Bunker, wasn't it? Nothing in the challenge at all. It's a brilliant header.
Yeah, no, you can see both players going absolutely for the ball, and it's just a big, heavy hit and a really hard landing. And you certainly know you're in a game in a grand final when you take that first hit, and no doubt Bunker will be very sore tomorrow, but I'm sure she'll be keen to continue on.
Yeah, absolutely cleaned out by Clark on that replay. But good header from Karen Clark. I understand this might be Mel Bunker's last game as well. She might be heading back to the States next year.
Yeah, that'll be a loss for the not just for CFC, but the competition as well. She's been a really good addition, and she's a fantastic player who's got the ability to cause problems all around. So it'll be disappointing to see her go back if that is what happens.
Speaking of battles, Canberra FC's defence, we saw it there. Karen Clark, Jessie Rashard, very physical, like to bully strikers in the best sense. They're not going to get much change out of Grace Gill physically. No,
that's right, and that could be the reason for putting Grace Gill a little bit higher than we're accustomed to see. She can probably deal with that physical toll and actually force Rashard and Clark to be a little more accountable too. So they won't just be able to knock players over and knock through them. We've seen it in the past against every other team of the competition. They do dominate that number 9, and if you don't have your number 9, that's a problem. But no doubt Grace Gill will be an absolute force there and ask totally different questions, and that's where Goldstein again comes into play.
Here's Day bursting forward. She's got a runner ahead of her. It's Jaloka. Brown coming in on the far side. If Jaloka can get the cross in, but the ball defeats her. What is unarguable amongst all these talking points is I think we've got the two best teams in the competition by far here.
Yeah, absolutely. If you looked at everything throughout the season, this is the game that you want on grand final day. You want your two best teams, and they absolutely have been. Their battles this year have been epic, and they look like, you know, CFC have looked like all year the only team who could potentially knock Belconnen over, and that's what you want, a really big, tough ask in the grand final.
Day might have plenty to say this afternoon. Looks for Kath Brown. It's going to roll away in front of the Ivan Bullen stands. Canberra FC playing a grand final at home on a neutral venue.
Yeah, that's right. Would have been interesting for them today, walking in and going to the away dressing room as well. So, you know, a little bit different, you know, slightly different change rooms, but all these things can potentially have effect on players' mindsets too. And you can only have to look back to the goal kick and Belconnen going for their 1v1 press-off goal kicks and coming up trumps early.
It's Tamaro at the back. Churchill. Berkeley looking to exchange passes, but there's Palumbi. Lauren Keir putting pressure on. Good ball from Palumbi. Now, a little bit of space for Churchill to perhaps run at the Belconnen defence. Bobbin back to help out. Did enough, I think, to force the error. Interestingly, on the away changing room notes, Matt, sometimes, I know in the men's competition when Canberra have come here for finals against FC, they'd rather be in the away changing room where they know they've been before.
Yeah, that's right. So, be interesting to see what the discussions were, whether Belconnen wanted it or Canberra FC doesn't, but different environment, ask different questions, but maybe it also allows you to get a feel for the fact it is grand final day and it's a little bit special.
Reynolds finds Day bursting forward, and again, just overhit for Brown once more. Early signs are that Belconnen will be doing most of the pressing, as we'd expect from a team that's bagged 105 league goals already this season.
Yeah, so really good high press, but they're finding a lot of space in the midfield to run as well. That's a couple of times now that Day's had the opportunity to run at players, and that'll be dangerous. That's not something that CFC will be wanting to encourage as the game goes on, because Day's not going to miss those passes too often.
Mentioned at the top of the broadcast they met each other. This is the fourth time. It's actually the fifth, isn't it? Because they played in the qualification final, and Belconnen came out 2-0 winners on that occasion. Early goal from Munoz in that one. Karen Clark scoring the second. One of 7 goals from the centre-back this season, which is a good return. And when you consider Jessie Rashard's got 4, Lauren Keir's got a couple, and Bronte Pike, she's got 9 from left back.
Her threat at the set piece is undeniable, Bronte Pike. She reads the ball really well and isn't afraid to get a challenge. And Karen Clark with those goals, considering she missed a big chunk of time holidaying in France as well, just goes to show that...
Scouting, perhaps, for the Women's World Cup.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it just goes to show that you can't switch off, you don't get a moment's peace. But even early on, you can see the game's being played very, very narrow, very one-sided. There's not a lot of switcher plays yet from either side, and that's due to the amount of pressure that's being done.
Nice body swerve from right. Finds Gill. Hagen might switch to this near side for Goldstein. Loose pass from Hagen, just a bit of ground final jitters maybe. Haven't seen Rachel Goldstein involved just yet. She scored twice in the preliminary final win over the academy here last week.
And that missed pass from Hagen, that's the sort of ones that you've got to meet. We just spoke about how there hadn't been a lot of opportunity to switch the play, and that was the moment there, and they had players bombing on. You've got to take those opportunities against Belconnen and really put them under pressure, because they will push their wide players high.
Jaloka's brushed off a challenge here. Galich to the rescue. Frantic opening to the match. Nick Brosnich I saw here earlier when I came in. He was here from about 11 o'clock. He's been buzzing, wanting this game to get underway. Yeah, and he did tell me that he's going to be wearing the tracksuit pants pulled up today.
It's worked all season, right?
Sartorial elegance on the Canberra FC bench. Anthony Jagarinic on this bench for the last time in a Canberra Premier League context. They do have a game next week against Sydney University in the, what would you call it, the WNPL Challenge.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, we talk about players having nerves and experience with grand finals, but it's the same for coaches. You know, it's Nick Brosnich's first grand final here, so no doubt there might be a little bit of nerves there, and he'll need to settle as much as his players. Whereas Anthony Juggerinic, he's been here, 8 times or something like that. So very accustomed to what's going on, very composed.
Canberra FC without Sharon Chow today. She's at the ACT Schoolgirls. They wouldn't let her play, apparently. She has to be there for the opening ceremony tomorrow morning. Which is disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing for CFC and the debate about representative football and club football, and I'm sure Sharon will be disappointed not to be here as well. And it's one of those things where if you could let a player play in a grand final, you absolutely should.
Bit surprised that they couldn't just book a later flight for her after the match, to be honest. But there we go. That's all the politics of local football.
That's right.
Belconnen United pushing for the breakthrough. Brown on that left-hand side, looking to deliver. It's a good block, that. Might come for Day in the first free kick for for Georgia Girardella, rather the referee. She's in the middle. Delphina Demoski and Carla Martin on the sidelines today. Scott Boone, the fourth official.
And Day's just sucked Goldstein right in there. She's held her ground and Goldstein's got their hand out, and she'll need to adjust that in the midfield. Day's a smart footballer and she'll suck you into a foul. Her and Munoz will convince you to foul them.
Clark fizzes one in, goes for goal herself. It comes back off the post. Vasta was scrambling and Karen Clark tried her luck from range. That would have been phenomenal.
Yeah, what a great strike from Karen Clark there, hitting that far upright away from us, and Vasta scrambling but couldn't get anywhere near it. And disappointing from a Belconnen point of view that they couldn't quite get the follow-up either.
Sure, we'll take a look at the replay in a moment. That is Clark sending that one forward towards Brown. She won't be able to keep that in there, but that was a phenomenal effort.
I think I remember Clark doing something similar a couple of years ago with a long-range free kick, but we spoke about warning signs from the set pieces from the corner. That'll make Vasta very nervous the next time there's a long-range free kick. Short range, you've got people like Day and Munoz, but now you've got to worry about Clark knocking it in from almost halfway.
Yeah, fizzing effort.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't a floater. That was a driven shot.
Played for as well. Maybe that's something they've looked at in training. Here's Hagen. Looking to find Bunker. It's just not coming off for either side, is it, at the moment? In cohesive passing movements.
No, that's right. We're 10 minutes in, and there's the mistakes that you wouldn't expect to see, and that's probably a little bit of jitters. And defensively, they're both putting a lot of pressure on, but who can? Oof.
A little bit of afters from Bunker on Clark. Maybe that was a bit of payback for that challenge earlier.
Yeah, quite possibly. But whoever can settle the quickest on the ball in probably the next 5 to 10 minutes will make a huge difference going forward. I mean, Grace Gills barely had a touch, and Canberra FC really need to get her involved if they're going to be able to create something going forward.
That was launched forward by Galich. Easy win for Clark. There's Nick Brozic with the rolled up trousers, as he promised.
I'm worried about his tan line, Russ, today. Be terrible tomorrow.
I'm sure if he goes home with a trophy, he won't be too disappointed.
That's true.
Lauren Keir, a chance to bring it forwards. Looking for Jaloka. Rashart joining in the attack. We'll look for Bobbin, who'd gone a little early. Good season this for Kira Bobbin. She's come up with 18 goals in all competitions, 16 in the league, and considering she didn't start the campaign as first choice, she's certainly come in and shown what she's got to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been a great addition to this Belconnen team, with Maddie Whittle no longer available, and Bobbin, we were here for that Federation Cup semi-final, and she had a wowzer of a game then. And she's just come on in leaps and bounds throughout the whole season.
Day wins a header. Galich sends it straight back. Goldstein hasn't been involved at all at the moment. Neither's Pike, to be honest, and that's her first real involvement. Bypassing a few of the players in the early stages. Mickey Day, not one of them. Clark, looking for that trademark ball over the top. Gets it via the deflection off of Wright. Brown into the middle. Here is Bobbin. She's got goal sides. It's come off the arm of Tamaro. Bobbin's still going. Completely accidentally, I believe.
Yeah, certainly didn't know much about her. It's bounced up and hit her in the wrist or the forearm there, but you've got to be able to play on and get on with it. But there you can see the danger. So the ball, although mishit, came out to Brown, and the early ball in front is fantastic. You're asking completely different questions of defenders. Now everybody's running towards goal and everybody's under a lot of pressure. And
are we led to believe that that's going to be a free kick next season for that handball?
Yes, we are with the new rules, I think, no matter what, deliberate or not. A touch is a touch, and yeah,
Well,
a lot of controversy for 2020.
Well, we'll look forward to that, Matt. I'm sure you'll be joining me for a few next season, if you're not busy. Woodman with the ball into the penalty area.
Yeah, no, I'll be here in 2020. The question is, who will be the 2020 champion? You can just see a different corner again, a little bit deeper that time, and smart by CFC to try and play quickly there so Belconnen couldn't get set. But again, the execution of the passing there's a little bit of tension there, which is creating a few miss.
Quarter of an hour gone, no goals, women's grand final day, and nothing really to write home about just yet. Two very evenly matched sides, it would seem. Day's ball forwards, finds Bobbin. Keir must come off of the thigh of Churchill. Helped on his way through to Vasta.
Even that ball there is something that you wouldn't expect to see from Kerr very often. She had a lot of time, and there's a little bit of now trying to force that play in. And it'd be interesting to see as we get closer and closer to this midpoint of the first half, whether somebody starts to put their foot on the ball and just get control for 2 or 3 minutes. Just give everybody a touch and a chance to relax, because it's frantic at the moment and very transitional.
Clark looking to play it forwards. It's noticeable that both sides pressing very hard when the opposition are in possession. Whether they can keep that going for 90 minutes is something else to keep an eye on.
Yeah, you would expect in the second half that the game will open up. I mean, it's warm today for the players, and the sustaining of that pace and that pressure, I'm not sure can go for 90 minutes.
Does make a change commentating on a game in Canberra without a coat, doesn't it, Matt?
It's lovely.
I'm sure we'll have to wrap up later on for the men's GF. It starts at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
Sun's out, though, for the women's game. Rashard bringing it forwards. Asks Keir to make the run. Lumby back tracking down. Good ball forward, finds Bobbin. And there's Churchill to snuff that out before Bobbin can cross.
And you can just see, Russ, that the game's being stretched a little bit. We spoke just before about it being transitional, and Lauren Kerr there, her only option was down the line. There wasn't actually anybody in the centre of the park occupying that space to allow a bit of control through the middle. So things are starting to become a bit predictable on both sides. Get onto one wing, you stay on the one wing, and that makes it easier to defend.
Joloka forces the corner. And a chance once again for Rashard and Clark to make their way forwards. Bronte Pike as well, I would think. Katie Woodman will be tasked to deliver. We talked earlier in the season about the fact that Antti Jagarinic wasn't too happy that he didn't score many off corners. Felt that his big defenders should be getting their heads on more of these. This would be a fine time to add to that tally.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Canberra FC, where we saw Canberra United on that day, didn't have anybody on the post, and CFC have got both posts covered.
Woodman goes short to Keir, change of the angle. Got the best cross, the deflection took it into path of Goldstein. Palumbi cutting a lonely figure out front, and Bobbin back to use her pace.
It's well done by Bobbin there.
Day lifts one over the top. Munoz sneaking in here, but it runs away.
You'd expect Keir, though, when she's picked up that short ball, you've got to beat that first line. It's a coach killer that you don't clear that first line with your cross or your free kick, whatever it may be.
Bunker. Right. Bridget Wright kind of flies under the radar in this Canberra FC team a little, doesn't she? But always a solid performer.
Yeah.
Free kick.
And you can just see there, Belconnen have laid an absolute trap there for Canberra FC. They let that ball go out wide, and you can hear Anthony Jagarinic screaming at the players, now, and they're holding him in that corner, and they're winning the ball or they're winning the free kick. It's all by design. And if you're going to go wide, you're going to have to get it back through that middle quickly. Interesting, Karen Clark's not on this free kick, so no shot early.
Left footer Catherine Brown to deliver towards the back post, you would imagine. Swings it in there. 3 shirts converge. Vasta gets a good fist on it. Very appreciated by the Canberra FC supports. Here's a break on with Galich. Palumbi's ahead. Has come off of Lauren Keir, and no messing around from Karen Clark. Almost got snow on it, so high. Gill hasn't really been involved just yet, but it's a good touch to Churchill. Look for the switch of play towards Bunker, but Rashard was there. And she'll calm everything down. Clark, she does like a long ball forwards.
Yeah, no one else quite looking for it, and maybe that was the opportunity. Rashard had decided nothing was on, and maybe that was the opportunity to go through the lines and start to play into midfield and ask a different question. So
Gill finds Berkeley, their ball forward. Asking some questions. James came and stopped for a moment.
Yeah, interesting there by James. You'd expect her to come up and swallow that, but her first grand final as well, so maybe a little bit jittery, and not quite as confident as she has been throughout the year, and she's been very good throughout the year.
Goldstein operating from deep.
You can't see it on your screen at the moment, Russ, but there's a massive gap between the centre back and the left back that's just ripe to be exposed by a CFC midfielder stepping on, because Grace Gill's come off the line to almost play as a false number 9, and there's a huge gap there waiting to be exposed.
Lovely touch out from Hagen. There's Bunker looking for Wright, making the overlap. Bronte Pike doing the defensive work. Bunker's got there ahead of Brown. Leaves it for Wright. Day's header, now Munoz. Is there something on the break for the Blue Devils? It's Michaela Day. Bobbin made the run forward, and Jamie Berkeley did just enough to force the error from Day. And now the chase is between Palumbi and Keir. And Lauren Keir, the comfortable winner on that occasion.
I just wonder, Russ, how long before both coaches start to look at something a little bit different. So we've said that Goldstein, who's on the ball now, hasn't seen much of it. Grace Gill hasn't seen much of it. Do you start to go back a little bit to what you know and what got you here? Do you push Bunker into the 9 to harass your centre backs, move Goldstein out wide where we know she's electric, and start to get Grace Gill in the middle of the park, but she can get a little bit more of the ball and have a little bit more of an influence? Because although she's a physical presence up there, she's not a game presence, and that's a worry for Canberra FC.
Here she is looking to get in front of Rashad. He has a little bit more pace. Turns into trouble though. Brittany Palumbi stole it, only momentarily. She's asking the question of Georgia Girardello. Thought she was fouled. Not really the shy and retiring type, Brittany Palumbi, or any of the Palumbis for that matter.
No, not that I've come across. I think I called Ash Britt once, and she still hasn't forgiven me.
Might well be watching today, Ashley Palumbi. Playing for APL Leichhardt, I believe.
Had a good season too, from what I understand.
There's Munoz. Day's ball forward. There's a race for Lauren Keir here, and Isabella Tamaro watched it all the way.
Yeah, and the point I make about Grace Gill from before us is that so far Rashard's got her number. And we spoke a little bit about the pace. Rashard's probably got a little bit of extra pace, but the physicality she's easy can go with, and Grace Gill came off the line early and Rashard tracked her, so if it's going to be a player-to-player marking job, that's going to really nullify Grace Gill, and that's a hilarious strike by Munoz.
Not her finest moments. No. She'll tell you she picked out Rashard with that pass. Clark sends this one towards us in the commentary position. Might get a touch before the end of the day, Manny.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Thankfully it won't be on camera, so if it's terrible, no one will know.
Bobbin sends that forwards. Galich, who commands this Canberra FC defence. Gill, dropping deep. Hagen. I was asking quite a lot, Bridget Wright, with that pass.
And you just see the structure there from Belconnen, so that time Bronte Pikes actually followed Gill in, but Day's come back and filled in that left back spot. So what they might be wanting to do is get Grace to drag someone out and create the hole that was there before that we mentioned, but the filling and the smarts by Day is kind of counteracting that.
Halfway through the first half here at Deakin Stadium, live on Bar TV Sports. No goals in the grand final. Here's Tamaro.
You can just see here, Ross Belconnen just sitting back, trying to almost lay the trap. And the question is, how patient can CFC be?
Churchill. Tamaro. She's going to need to deal with this for the second time. Finds Goldstein. And again, the Tamaro. Pitching wedge chip over the top. Come off the back of Keir. Now Goldstein. You can see what she was trying to do. Trying to change the angle and get Hagen down that wing, but Hagen hadn't anticipated.
Yeah, Hagen had narrowed off a bit when Gill dropped in, and no overlapping run out wide. But the patience on the ball will be the key for CFC, because Belconnen will let you have it at points, but are you patient enough to wait for that opening? And at the moment, not quite.
Plenty of football coming up in Canberra. If you are here and you live in Canberra, reminder the Socceroos will be here soon against Nepal on Thursday, October 10th. First home game of their World Cup qualification match, and tickets are available from Ticketek now. It's a big game there.
Yeah, exciting to see the Socceroos back in town.
Always good to see the Socceroos and the Matildas playing Canberra. Free kick to Belconnen. Now then, will Clark try her luck again from this range? Just a little bit wider than she was before, but closer in. And this is danger for Vasta.
Yeah.
Brown dummying. It is Clark, as you would expect. Dips it towards the far post. Didn't quite have enough on it to dip under the crossbar, and Vasta had it covered all the way, judging by a reaction.
Yeah, Canberra FC, that's the strike's a worry, but you just need to look at the wall too there. So I think they had the wall the wrong way around. They had their tallest people on the inside, which actually means that Vasta hasn't got as good a side as the ball when it comes over. So they might be better off in future. If you're going to put Gatlich and Gill in the wall, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, they need to be on the far side covering the post, and that'll allow Vasta to pick the ball up. So just a little bit of organisation required there.
Brown had come back from an offside position rather. Took Carla Martin a while to make her mind up. I think she got that right though. Big day for the match officials as well. Always good to be appointed to a grand final, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's great reward for your season, much like the players work hard week in, week out to get the points to a grand final. The referees are constantly working on and tweaking their games, and great reward for the four officials today who've been appointed, and congratulations to them.
Hagen, it's a bunker. Tried to find Wright, who made the run forward, and Pike's been having to defend a lot this afternoon. We've not seen a release from the shackles just yet.
No, and that's probably the bunker effect. I mean, you have to be accountable with bunker around, and we know that she can harass you and force you into mistakes, and accountability will be a big thing. And you know, throwing in the corner here, you'd be looking for Canberra FC to really load up in this corner and win the ball and create something from here.
Wright wins the header. Brown happy to send that upfield and ask Jalocka to chase. Galich is aware of the threat. Vasta has plenty of time to deal with this. Hagen. Loose first touch, but did well to claim it back from Brown. He wins it from Wright, but via a foul. It's not quite hit the heights yet, Matt.
No, still going through that feeling out process a little bit, and almost players, you know, it's a mentality aspect too. So do you want to win or do you not want to lose? And depending on the way you think depends on how you actually approach the game, and there's a little bit of that at the moment in terms of the don't want to lose. You can see some of the positive plays, so people like Day who are taking the game on, Jalocka the one time she's been involved, and Grace Gill being really positive. But a couple of girls at the back, Galich, Tamaro, a little bit nervy with their distribution, which as a result is creating those errors, and there's not quite the flow that we would have expected in the game. You know, Grace Gill's starting to get more involved, which is good, but I think she's getting involved in areas where she's too far away from the game.
Goldstein, perhaps she's lining one up from range. She was. Deflection took it into the path of Keir. Churchill.
Great ball.
Ball forward towards Palumbi on the edge of the box, and she's found a bit of space and almost had Grace Gill square of her. If the pass had been better, there was a shooting chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So first time Canberra FC really breached that line there, and a little bit lucky with the ricochet, but you'd expect Palumbi to knock that ball in, and that's what we're talking about, Grace Gill being in the areas where she can affect the game. She gets that ball there, I reckon it's 1-0. You know, no discredit to Sally James with the quality of Grace Gill there, and you want her in those central areas, whether it be in the 9 or be in the midfield. That's where she's influential.
You'd guess she'd score from there, although she did miss 3 chances last week that you would have put your house on. Grace Gill scored an absolutely belter of a goal and then missed 3 chances that she said afterwards that I don't know how she got the easy one, the hard one, and missed the 3 easy.
Sometimes it's the way, isn't it? You get 4 chances, and the one that should never go in is the one that sneaks in. And you know, she'll probably be happy today if she doesn't get a goal and they still win 1-0 at the end of the day. That's the kind of footballer she is.
You back Grace Gill in the big moments, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, absolutely.
If it came down to it. Churchill with the throw. Goldstein coming deep again.
You can just see how hard it is for Canberra FC to get out here, and even Goldstein making the run in. The organisation of Belconnen, Day was able to leave her and Bobbin was able to pick it off. And again in the throw-ins, there's just so much pressure and the composure and the technique is missing a little bit.
Well, was shovelled forward by Churchill, finds Gill, and now she sends a ranging ball out wide. Pike won the header. Hagan looking for the run of Bunker, who's got inside here. Mel Bunker shooting chance. Good strong hands from Sally James, but the first effort in anger for Canberra FC.
And again, it starts with Grace Gill getting on that ball a little bit deeper and whipping it around there. And admittedly, Pike won the first ball, but they were able to capitalise. And well done by Bunker there, who read that ball really, really well and actually ducked inside of Pike to get that first touch. She'll be disappointed she didn't ask more questions of James, but quality, full respect to James, good solid hands, and was able to launch it the other way.
Got a fair piece on it. That's Churchill looking for the run. And here is James, who treated that shot far easier than it looked from this distance. It was a fair hit from Mel Bunker. Sally James getting firm hands on it. At the other end, right. Kept it in play rather than see it out. Goldstein. Hagan. Ooh, that's a bit short from Vasta. It's only as far as Bobbin. Jaloka wants it ahead. And he's got to Jaloka. Good turn. And Tamaro was there. Maybe it took a little bit longer than it needed to get to Jaloka, who commits the foul on Isabella Tamaro, who defended well. Yeah. Maybe it took Bobbin too long to get it under control.
Yeah, it was good recovery there. Vasta won't be happy with that clearance, and maybe the ball should have come across to Tamaro first instead of going to Vasta, but Bobbin couldn't quite get the control early, and Jaloka was away, and Galich needs to be careful there. I think there's a little pull of the shirt there just by Galich as she turned, so she's got away with one there, and full credit to Tamaro, who's done well, and Jaloka's knocked her over in frustration.
Hagan wins the header ahead of Munoz. Berkeley sends it forward. Keir concedes a throw.
Question now for Canberra FC is they've got into these sort of areas a few times where they've had the ball, but can they get somebody on the ball to switch that point? There's plenty of space out there for Bunker and Wright to attack, but they haven't been able to get a foot on the ball and play.
Bobbin turns. Churchill with her, but Bobbin wins the battle. Good ball into. There's Galich. Gets rid of it. That's all she needs to do.
Yeah, it's good positioning there by Galich, and Bobbin, first time she's really been able to skip away from Churchill, and we know what a quality defender she is. But Belconnen will be looking for more numbers to drive into that box the next time Bobbin gets around. And that's an area where they probably haven't been as successful as they would like throughout the year, loading that box in the free play where it comes from a wide area into corners. And you can see now Brown coming to this right-hand side and Bobbin going to the left-hand side. Credit to Canberra FC, who've taken advantage of that and played out.
It's unusual for Belconnen United to go more than half an hour without scoring a goal. Only twice this season it's happened, both times against Canberra FC. The 0-0 game and the 1-0 match here.
And that'll give Canberra FC a lot of confidence. The worst thing that could have happened to them today was to concede early, and the fact that we're, half an hour in, just over half an hour in, and it's still 0-0, and they've most recently created some great chances.
Munoz finds Jaloka. Tamaro in the way. Gill. Galich. Tamaro. Press from Jaloka and Brown, but Tamaro does well and finds Churchill. Goldstein. Churchill again. Better build-up from Canberra FC. Hagan. Goldstein's made the run forward. Now she's got away from Munoz briefly, but couldn't find Brittany Palumbi. But better from Canberra FC in their build-up.
Yeah, absolutely. Far better combination play there, as you can see them get in, and they've found the inside ball, that inlet ball, and first time Goldstein's been able to really get away and get a little bit of a run on in the middle of the park there. Surprising she didn't release it early, and you can see Anthony Jagaranich just giving some instructions to Bobbin there, so just giving her a little bit of information. It's hard. Churchill's one of the better defenders in the in the competition. But if she stays on that right side, now potentially, so Ant can talk her through a couple of things too. And it also asks a different question to Churchill. Now she's got to deal with a left footer, so is Brown going to drive in, potentially whip in an angle cross or drive a shot at goal?
Brown's touch. Berkeley in midfield. Sends it forward, one for Gill and Bunker to chase. Clark will need to defend it, and no nonsense style does so. Happy to concede the throw under pressure from Grace Gill.
Yeah, and there's a bit of pressure there from Bunker too. So we've seen Belconnen there bring it down and play the ball back to James before, but she can probably see Bunker out of the corner of her eye and knows if that pass isn't spot on, Bunker's in. So good perceived pressure there from Canberra FC.
Berkeley wins a header. Goldstein now Churchill. She settles for the throw. Here's Palumbi. Been a good battle this with Lauren Kieran. It's honours pretty much even at the moment. If anything, Kier's probably had the better of it. Jaloka now. Her and Bobbin are the only two forwards. As such, FC happy to win the ball back.
Yeah, missed touch there from Jaloka, which really killed that opportunity for a counter, and unusual for her. But how do Belconnen set up now? So you can see Jaloka trying to take away the outlet ball, which will be key. And again, into this corner, can they get out?
Improvisation from Churchill to do that. Scooped pass forward. Hagen. Goldstein. Both sides looking very solid without offering too much of a goal threat. On that occasion, Goldstein couldn't collect Berkeley's ball forward.
And it'll be interesting to see this game. So it's warmer, so there'll be fatigue a little bit earlier. We're 9 minutes out from half time, and you start to see a little bit of fatigue and decision making where players are expecting somebody to be in an area where they would normally when it's 10 degrees, but now there's a bit of heat involved and it's a little bit harder. But you just see on both sides of the park, the midfield is so narrow. Everybody's crowding this one side here, and I imagine that'll be a big adjustment for both teams in that second half, looking to get that controlled play. And as you mentioned before, Russ, we haven't really seen the two wing-backs from Belconnen get a chance to overload, which is highly unusual this far into a game.
10 minutes to half-time. Still no score. Chances, though, at both ends. Karen Clark hitting the post for Belconnen and Mel Bunker stinging the palms of Sally James. Good win from Rashards ahead of Gill. Munoz finds Clark. There's that crossfield ball looking for the run of Pike. Didn't quite find its intended target. Bronte Pike loves to get forward, as we've seen over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, it's good intent though, and potentially now that's possibly now the option for O'Connor. Maybe we don't go through the midfield and we start to hit that wider area earlier and get people like Pike to go.
Rashard steps inside. More live football tomorrow. NPL 2 grand final from this stadium. O'Connor Knights versus ANU FC. You can join myself and Ian Worthington for that one from 3 o'clock. 6 o'clock this evening, myself and Angelo Constantinou, the Canberra Olympic and Futsalu's goalkeeper, on the men's grand final, Gungahlin versus Tigers FC. Long way to go in this one before we start thinking about those two games. Goldstein looks for Churchill, who's stolen a march on Catherine Brown here for a moment, and slides the ball in nicely into the penalty area, where Wright had sneaked across from the far side and wins herself a corner. Yeah,
good little bit of play there, and I was just starting to wonder if Ant's message to Bobbin was potentially a defensive one. So when Churchill broke early and created an opportunity, it was Bobbin who lost the player, and again she lost Wright initially as they bombed on. So some different questions being asked there, and well done by Canberra FC to sort of expose that.
I think this is the first corner of the game for FC, if I remember rightly. They've gone short with it. Berkeley to the edge of the box is opened up for Brittany Palumbi on that left foot, drives it goalwards. Always fading away though from James's right-hand post.
Yeah, and it's an exciting bit of play from Canberra FC. Personally never been a fan of short corners, but they've actually worked out really well, and given the height and threat of Belconnen, they've found a different solution. They've gone short, they've squared it up, and finding Palumbi on the edge of the box is an excellent outcome for them, and disappointing that the shot didn't quite hit the target there. But great little bit of creativity there from Canberra FC.
Munoz looks for Bobbin. Brings it down and wins herself a free kick and stayed down here, Kira Bobbin.
Yeah, a bit of a late one from Galich there. Not necessarily any malice involved, but Bobbin's leg hanging out, and Galich has gone straight through it and picks up the yellow card as a result.
It got herself a yellow ticket for that one, which Bobbin felt. Picked herself up. Having a look at it on the replay, it was a little bit late.
A bit late, a bit messy. Again, I don't think there's a lot of intent.
Much in it, was there?
No. No malice intent, but just one of those things where the timing's wrong, and with a leg hanging out, that's a vulnerable player, and maybe unlucky not to get a warning as opposed to a yellow.
I'm hesitant to call it a soft yellow card.
Oh, well.
Clark sent it forwards, and again Vasta looked a little bit worried.
It's interesting that it's the long shots from Vasta that seem to be creating the biggest nerves for her. You'd think, given the amount of time to see it, and there's a little bit of a breeze, but not enough that you would think would affect the flow of the game.
The sun here at Deakin Stadium, though, does shine from a really weird angle onto the goalkeeper at that end. So maybe that had something to do with it. Not that we're making excuses for FC's number one. Don't think she needs them.
No, she's had a good solid year, and no goal as a result, so all good and well. And Canberra FC looking to get some control, and you can see now the Belconnen locking off that side, which results in, again, minimal options because the midfield is so narrow.
Goldstein in the centre circle, looking to create something for her team. Runners ahead, tries to force it through Keir. It's going to come for Berkeley. Now Palumbi. And Keir happy to get rid of it as well. A fair bit of Belconnen happy to just send the ball away from their goal in this first half. Is Tamaro. She's had as many touches as anybody on the field. Very composed on the football. Looks for the run of Churchill, and it's a decent ball as well. And Keir's back to concede the throw.
Yeah, and something that might be worrying the Belconnen coaching staff there is Belconnen will clear the ball, which is fine, but they're very slow to bring that line up. They're giving a heap of space and room for Canberra FC to play in. And think about the early stages and the amount of pressing and the press that was on for both teams, and that's starting to disappear a little bit from Belconnen.
Berkeley swings it in towards Bunker. Nice touch to get it across goal. Keeper's fumbled here, James. Got a hand on it, but not too much, and Grace Gill wasn't far away.
Well, that's the worrying moment there, and fantastic work from Bunker, who was able to get the little touch and flick it back in where she had no right to. And
is Palumbi dealing one towards the far post. Wright is there, nods it back into the middle, and Karen Clark's in there ahead of Grace Gill. Just signs of Canberra FC turning the screw a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, so 2 chances in 2 minutes, and James uncharacteristically spilling one, and then Canberra FC at the back post, and they've been very good at that, and quite often you see a Jamie Berkeley popping up there.
Here's Gill. Danger still not passed for Belconnen. Goldstein. Will she be able to deliver something? Finds Gill. Good early touch to open the body up. Might come for Goldstein. And there was Rashart doing the defensive work for Belconnen United.
Yeah, under a lot of pressure here, Belconnen United, more than they'd be used to. And you start to think at the back end of this half, are they feeling the heat in the early press already? They're not getting in touch with their defenders, and they're leaving a heap of space.
Gill coming into the game more as it progresses. Right, nice turn to get away from Bobbin. Flat delivery. Pike was in the way, and anywhere will do for the blue shirts at the moment. Not suggesting they're overly rattled, but not been under this much pressure for very often this season.
No, certainly not got the ultimate wobbles, but there's a lot of questions being asked, and bar a couple of last-ditch challenges from Rashard and Clark, Belconnen are probably 1-0 down, and they're really starting to get a move on, and this will only grow the confidence for Canberra FC here. Be interesting to see how they deal with this goal kick now. Can they win it and get the pressure on? It's great to have pressure, but can you sustain it?
There is a reason, though, that they are the best defensive team in the competition. And they have seen out that mini storm as we enter the final 2 minutes of the first half. Can't imagine there'll be too much stoppage time for Scott Boone to indicate on the board in a moment or two. Hagen's there. Gill's touch. Now Berkeley looking to slide one in towards Palumbi. Lauren Keir was there. She's taking a risk here, Lauren Keir, and at the expense of a corner.
Bit of a risk there, looking to get the goal kick and not happy with the call, but probably the right one. So more pressure. What happens? We saw they were creative with the short corner the last time Canberra FC had one, so it'd be interesting to see what they come up with now.
Looks like they're going with a more orthodox routine on this occasion. Krista Hagen will take.
Watch out for Berkeley sneaking in the back post potentially as well.
It's a flatter delivery, and it's not a good one from Hagen. And in all of the things she's done in her football career, that's not going to rank in the top list, and she's much better than that.
Yeah, she is, and that'll be disappointing for Canberra FC. You eventually got a free chance at goal there, and not to take advantage of that is disappointing. Really lets Belconnen off the hook.
James picks out Bobbin. Nice touch for Jalocca, and that's an even better turn. But Brown comes short when Jalocca wanted her to go long.
Yeah, it's a couple of times there where Belconnen have looked to play the ball in behind and not quite on the same page. Somebody looking for it short and the ball being played long or vice versa. So some uncharacteristic miscommunication there.
Clark to Munoz. Clark again. Looking for the ball forwards. Come off of Hagen. Bobbin only finds Hagen.
You can see Belconnen there. They narrowed right off in their front three to open the channel for Pike, but Pike's so concerned about the effectiveness that Bunker's had so far. She's very hesitant to bomb on.
Goldstein goes square. And Mickey Day started brightly, but hasn't been involved too much over the last 20 minutes or so. Clark sends it forward. We're into stoppage time at the end of the first half. Be a couple of minutes, if any. Tamaro, first time she's made an error this afternoon, and Galic somehow gets out of it. Gill. Done well in the first half, Grace Gill, but most of the time she's been playing with her back to goal.
Yeah, back to goal. She's been effective where possible, bringing players in. The one time she's had to turn, she's released the change of point and actually been quite effective. But be interesting to see whether that's a 90-minute project or whether that starts to fade, especially with people like Jordan Woodger on the bench who can come on and supplement that front three.
Vasta's ball forward only finds Munoz. Tamaro gets rid of it, and Georgia Girardello says that will do us for the first half. Matt, in the first half in which there were chances, Karen Clark's hit the post for Belconnen United, and Mel Bunker stung the palms of Sally James. But other than that, it's been pretty even, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been pretty even. You know, if you wanted to nitpick, you'd probably say Belconnen had the better part of the first half, and Canberra FC's come home with a bit of a wet sail. But half-time's probably come at a good time for both teams to be able to recalculate and reassess. Probably not the frantic sort of game possession that we thought we would see, but certainly been effective.
Good first 45 minutes here at Deakin Stadium in the Women's National Premier League Grand Final. Nothing to choose between the two teams at the break. We go in scoreless. It's Belconnen United 0, Canberra FC 0. Welcome back to Deakin Stadium, second half of the WNPL Grand Final. No score at the break between champions Belconnen United and Canberra FC. I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator. With me as he was in the first half, Matt Moore. Matt, we're expecting much the same in the second half, or are we expecting one of these sides to take the game by the scruff of the neck and really go for it?
Yeah, I think you'll see much of the same for the first 10-15 minutes, and it's at that point that mindset will change and players will look to the clock and coaches will look to the clock and then start to decide, all right, now it's time to go. And interesting to see who made what changes, because it certainly looked like Canberra FC came home the stronger in that first half, and what adjustments Belconnen might have to make. And for them, it's really how do they get their wing backs involved, who've been basically null and void by the pressure that's been put on by Palombi and Bunker out wide. And for CFC, how do they build on what they did and get Grace Gill more involved and allow Goldstein to feed off her, or potentially can you get Palombi isolated in a 1v1 to take the game on?
Teams look like they're going to line up as they ended the first half. FC, Vasta, Wright, Galich, Tamaro, Churchill, Hagen, Berkeley, Goldstein, Bunker, Gill, Palumbi. Belconnen United just waiting for their huddle to break, see if there's any changes. Doesn't look like it from here. James, Keir, Clark, Rashard, Pike, Day, Woodman, Munoz, Bobbin, Jaloka, Brown. Georgia Girardello, the referee, issued the one card in the first half to Ivana Galich. Putting you on the spot, Matt.
Yeah.
Which player's going to break this one open?
Yeah, look, I think from a Canberra FC, if I had to pick one from each team, I think it's actually Jamie Berkeley who's probably the key in there. She does a lot of work that you don't see, but she's the one who tends to pop up in those back post areas or an unusual area and actually pinch the goal, despite my comments about Palombi and Gill earlier. And from a Belconnen point of view, look, could be any number of one of those players, but I think it might end up being somebody like a Rashard for a corner who's going to make the difference there.
We said often on Grand Final day, you kind of hope that the goal or the telling moment when it comes is a bit of magic rather than error, though.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you want somebody to win it rather than someone to lose it, and that's certainly a much better feeling for both teams.
Churchill under pressure early on from Jaloka. Steers it away from the danger area and must have got a nick off the Belconnen forwards. Benches will come into play, you'd think, later on. Fauna, Pachi, Carnegie, Zabel and Jalen Murphy, the sub-goalie for Belconnen. Ryan, McLaughlin, Agnew, Oida and Chantel Jones on the bench for Canberra FC. Would we see Chantel Jones coming on as a forward, scoring the winning goal? Hasn't played all season. Maybe the stage is set for her.
Quite possibly fairy tale results. You just never know in this grand final. If you need someone, she's certainly more than capable. You know, I think it was 12 months ago before she did a knee, she was banging goals left, right and centre, so she's certainly capable.
At both ends of the park.
At both ends of the park, that's right. Does she arrive for the penalty shootout to bury the winning one and save one? And interesting to see what decisions Nick Brosnich makes going forward. Because you'd think from a Belconnen point of view, Fauna's the obvious one if you need to change the game. Fauna's the one, and from a Canberra FC point of view, it's probably Jordan Udja who allows you to drop Grace Gill back and get her more involved. But interesting to see how they run with it.
When I spoke to Nick Brosnich before the game this morning, he did indicate he wouldn't have any qualms about bringing Chantel Jones on for a penalty shootout because she takes good penalties. And she can score penalties because she's got a heck of a strike on her.
Yeah, absolutely. She can hit a ball at 100 miles an hour.
Anyway, that's for then. Here's Palumbi into the penalty area. Opens up briefly. Clark shut the door.
Yeah, well done by Clark and Rashard just to stick with her there and be the presence. And the clearance here, putting right under pressure.
Goes back to Vasta. Jaloka closing down the keeper. Did enough to find Hagen. Day wins it back, finds Bobbin. Tries to squeeze it through to Munoz. Didn't quite get there, but Jaloka's won it back with a cracking tackle. Here is Munoz. Thought about the shot on the turn. Bobbin does shoot. Players all down all over the place here. Munoz thought she was caught late. Bobbin thought she was caught late.
Yeah, frantic moment there. I'm not sure Munoz knew the defender was coming. I think she would have used her body a little bit more as she had there and tried to roll the player, and Bobbin more of a panic cross in there. But early pressure was well won by Day there. A little sneaky pull of the arm to get in front and win. So interesting high press again early to start the game.
Pike wanting the throw, but it's going to go the other way. It will be Bridget Wright to take. Hagen. There's a change here. Katie Woodman's come on in the middle of the park. Oh no, she's been on from the start, hasn't she? Sorry, my bad.
She has. Had a quiet first half.
She did have a quiet first half, yeah. Mind you, so did many others.
Yeah.
The Belconnen midfield was bypassed a lot, wasn't it? Woodman, Munoz and Day were hardly involved.
Yeah, that's right. Day was involved really, really early, and Munoz had probably the first shot in anger in the game. But outside of that, you haven't really seen much of them, and which is fine if you can get those wing backs involved because you can afford to bypass your midfield. But they're sitting really deep as well, so begs the question: how do you get forward?
Churchill tried to find Palumbi. Sally James though was there. Maybe that's the key, Matt, is that those midfield three, highly experienced, haven't had the chance to dictate this game just yet. Long ball forward for Bobbin. Galich dawdles. Brown challenges. Concedes a free kick.
Yeah, that was always going to be a free kick, that one. And Bobbin not quite getting their head right, but then you can see the immediate pressure. So trying to take advantage of the fact that the ball's scrambling around. And it's a good point you make, Russ. I mean, Belconnen have a really experienced midfield, and if they can get those players on the ball, it'll be interesting to see. And we commented at both teams, we're really missing a link player through the centre of midfield in that first half. And you would think Munoz is the obvious one, and probably the quietest of the players is Nicole Jalocca, who's been their most important player all year. She's made everything tick, but she hasn't really had too much of a sniff.
Pike under pressure from Palumbi, and she went down and won the free kick. That disappointed the Canberra FC fans, didn't it?
Yeah, a couple even stopped behind the goal, thinking they were going to capture the moment. But yeah, Pike shielded the ball well there and earned the free kick.
The crowd's building as well, Matt. There's more and more people coming in and enjoying the late afternoon sunshine.
Yeah, absolutely. If you've got nothing to do and you're close by, you should drop in by for the rest of this game and the men's NPL as well. It's been some quality football, and Galich cheekily asking for the card there.
She got one in the first half herself, didn't she? So
yeah, doesn't want to be on her own.
Well, she's got the free kick. Now an opportunity to load this one into the penalty area.
And we saw Clark do it in the first half, and we know Galich can hit a long ball, so James needs to be on her toes and be ready just in case.
Berkeley and Goldstein have peeled over to the left-hand side. It's a flat delivery and punched clear from Munoz to the big fella, Anthony Jagarinic, showing his skills.
Never lost it, eh? Talent never fades.
Hagen goes backwards. Tamaro. Bunker, nice touch. Clark was there and it's been sent forward again. Pike. Day. Clark for Bobbin. One by right. Can she swing this into the danger area? She can, but Pike sends it clear. Munoz, big peeler for handball, and it's Caitlin Munoz. Looked like it came off the chest.
Yeah, hand by her side. She's got a bit of a grin on her face there. Maybe she feels she got away with one. But interesting, Bobbin there just couldn't quite read the ball early to start off with, and it's the last pass in, the cross or the killer ball in behind that's not quite coming off for CFC at the moment, and if that starts to, we might start to see a repeat of what happened in the second half.
Anthony Jagarinic has sent his entire bench to warm up on the far sides. Vanessa Ryan, the only one from FC, stretching the legs at the moment, indicating perhaps that she might be their first change. Here's Berkeley. Palumbi tries her luck. Should be easy for Sally James.
Yeah, took it well there. Bouncing ball, though, you always have a little bit of a nervous moment because you never quite know, and she found Jalocca well there.
Who brought it down well as well, but loses out to Galich. Hagen under pressure from Brown. Tamaro. Good win by Bunker. Hagen, pressure from Munoz. She won the ball. Sent forward towards Palumbi. Rushart can tidy up. Similar pattern to the first half at the moment, isn't it? But neither side able to string together more than 3 or 4 passes, and none in a meaningful area of the field.
Yeah, that's right. It's a big battle in the centre half of that, in the middle of that pitch there, and you can see again that press by design for Belconnen.
Gill's got in behind him momentarily, and couldn't strike it with any venom.
Good little turn by Grace Gill there. She'll be disappointed with the power that she got on the strike, but she probably had a little more time than she thought too. Maybe that one more touch or that little bit of composure could have made the difference.
Goldstein brought it under control nicely and finds Pulumbi. Chance for her to run at Pike. And she'll take the opportunity. Brittany Pulumbi onto the left foot. And another striker goal, and they're coming thick and fast from FC in the start of the second half.
Yeah, Belconnen not quite being able to get the pressure on in the midfield there, so you can see Goldstein and Berkeley in recent times having a little bit of a free option to find the ball wide, and the obviously direct threat in Pulumbi. They're looking for Pulumbi first time. That's a great kick by James.
Jaloka has it. Looking to deliver into the penalty area. Berkeley was back defending, and Churchill completes the clearance. Brosnich was appealing for something. Brown's touch. Jaloka. Tamaro was there, and Bunker completes the clearance. And a little frustration there from Nicole Jaloka. A little bit of a swipe.
Yeah, not the first time we've seen that from her today. She ran through the back of Tamaro towards the end of the first half there. But interesting that the referees called the foul there. Grace Gillard turned and was over halfway. Possibly could have played an advantage.
I think Grace Gill, looking up and seeing about 55 metres to go, probably happy that Georgia Girardello called the free kick. Goldstein in midfield. Churchill's loopy ball forward, looking for Bunker. Just a reminder, 6 o'clock tonight, Gungahlin United versus Tigers FC, men's NPL Grand Final. If I told you that at the start of the season when Gungahlin were on -6, you would have thought I was mad.
Yeah, absolutely there, and that's an absolute credit to Marcel Munoz, who's been able to bind his team together and create that atmosphere of success. And had they not had that -6 through administrative issues, it would have been interesting to see where they would have finished at the table.
Yep. Ball's going to bounce here, and Vasta under pressure from Bobbin just for a moment. That was a slight worry for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, Vasta not impressed with Bobbin's flying leap there, but got to put a bit of pressure on there, and Pritchard struggling with the sun a little bit too. Or Rushard, sorry, I do apologise.
Would have finished second Gungahlin United behind Canberra Olympic. Only 3 points though. Knocked them out last week in a highly entertaining preliminary final here. Well, probably not quite so entertaining if you're Frank Keisha and Canberra Olympic fans.
Yeah.
Good from the neutral point of view, as has this been. Brown challenging with Churchill. Day wins the header. Tamaro under pressure from Jaloka, and she's knocked her off the ball. Here's an opportunity for Mickey Day to get forwards and swing it into the penalty area. Jaloka's there. It might come for Catherine Brown. It's bouncing around, and in the end, no one swung a boot at it, and Canberra FC dodged one.
Yeah, just tenacity there from Brown initially to get control of that ball, and then Jaloka in a great overloading run by Day, screaming for it, and good delivery too. We've seen a lot of players not clear that first line with their crosses, but they've done very well there, and Jaloka just got that ball. As you can see the replay here, just gets that ball caught underneath. That first touch, not quite, and it falls in between her and Brown, and Canberra FC live to fight another day. But first real explosive run forward for Belconnen in the first half, as we see the first change of the day as well.
We are going to see a change, and it will be Vanessa Ryan coming on, and Bunker is the one withdrawn. Put a lot of effort in.
Yeah,
got that big knock early on, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She took that heavy hit from Russia, or from Clark, sorry, it was earlier, and not a bad substitution to bring on. Plenty of pace in the wide areas, and we'll ask a little bit of a different question of Kier.
6 goals this season as well, Vanessa Ryan. She's had good impact when she's come off the bench. Signed from Canberra Olympic in the off-season.
Yeah, very explosive in that straight line, whereas Bunker's probably got a little more agility and mobility. The key will be for Kier here is not to get burnt down the outside with Ryan there, especially if Grace Gill stays in this 9 role and Goldstein coming late. And it looks like Alexia Fauna's warming up for Belconnen on her own as well, so we might see another change there soon.
Goldstein's flick on towards Ryan. And Kier comes across. It was another good free kick from Galich. And it's a corner for Canberra FC and a chance for them to swing this into the penalty area. Interestingly enough, it looks like Grace Gill's going to go across and take this. Possibly their biggest aerial threat. Krista Hagen's gone for a short one, and Belconnen have gone to sleep momentarily. Hagen swing in. Woodman, Keir rather defensively. Half-hearted shouts for a penalty as Hagen went down. Nothing in that. Now here's the pace of Bobbin. Plenty of it. She's won the ball. Jaloka. Woodman busting a gut to get forwards to help out. Goes wide to Jaloka again, and the swing into the area. There's nobody in a blue shirt. And furthest back helping out is Rachel Goldstein.
Yeah, and that's the little bit of the Achilles heel for Belconnen. They can attack so quickly with the pace of Bobbin and Jaloka that sometimes they just need to give a minute or two to allow the supporting runners to arrive. You just had Woodman there. And Jaloka looks like she's struggling a little bit. She took a while to get up after that last involvement in the goal, and it's not quite moving as freely as she was before.
That was her touch. Wouldn't want to lose their leading goal scorer. 20 for her this season. Off she goes into the penalty area, looking to add to the tally. Brown was there, and that's a good piece of defending from Churchill. Belconnen's turn to up the ante. Munoz swings a lazy left foot at it. Prodded forward for Gill to chase against Rashat. Clark. It's a bit loose. Now Palumbi's challenging with Pike again. Berkeley. And Rashat saw that from a mile away, but she's left her station unopposed for a moment. Munoz was back to help out. It's got a good feel to this, doesn't it? You can't pick which way it's going to go. Both sides having the old arm wrestle.
Yeah, absolutely. In the last 5 to 10 minutes, both sides have really started to stamp their authority, and both defences have held up well. Asking slightly different questions now, and Rashat with another solid tackle. But different questions too, so Belconnen starting to find success in the wide areas.
Still in. The tackle's gone out and Bastos had to go miles from home to come and fetch it.
It was a through ball.
Nancy Jagerinich was asking one of his forwards why they weren't prepared to chase that down.
And that could be the difference sometimes in the grand final. You know, you miss that moment. You know, if you identify that that ball's not going out before your opposition, maybe you create that little bit of extra opportunity. You can't let a chance slip. Not in a game like this where it's so tight.
It's interesting. We spoke beforehand about the midfield three on both sides, and it's almost been a moot point, hasn't it? Because the ball's been bypassing the midfield so quickly, so often.
Yeah, both sides have been willing to go a little bit more direct than you may have anticipated in the first half, before the game.
Katie Woodman, a point case in point. She loves to get on the ball. She loves to play her through balls and her passes. Hardly had a touch in this second half.
Yeah, and
Palumbi fouls Mickey Day.
And then it makes it hard when you do get a touch. If you haven't had a touch for 35, 60 minutes and you're a midfielder and you're used to touch play, you might just dawdle on that ball a little bit longer because you're not really used to the pattern or how the game's gone, and it makes it hard.
Taking up some good positions as well, isn't she? But it's just bypassed her. Whether or not they believe that, you said Alexia Fawn is over there warming up, that she can pick the lock, so to speak. Be interesting to see what change that is. Is Palumbi doing some defensive work? Loses out to Bobbin though, and a chance for her to stretch the legs into the penalty area. Jaloka, it's going to fall for Mickey Day, and she didn't get enough on it.
Day will be disappointed with that, and you can see her head roll back, but good little movement there by Bobbin to get in behind and square that ball up. But the first miss from Jaloka, good communication there from the Belconnen back four. But the game's starting to open up a little bit, Russ, which will be pleasing to see. And we know how threatening Belconnen are on the counter. So it'll be interesting to see how Canberra FC deal with that the longer the game goes on.
Anthony Jagarinich's last match in Canberra as head coach of Belconnen. They've won the lot. I think it's 26 of 29 possible trophies since he's been here. He has been known to change a game or two with his substitutions. I think we're going to see one very shortly. In the meantime, Canberra FC looking to break the deadlock. Here's Berkeley. Oof. Finds Palumbi. Hagen. Goldstein. Nice ball in towards Grace Gill. Two players immediately close her down. Palumbi can't force her way through either. Tamaro. Good touch from Hagen. Finds Churchill. Gill. Sharp turn on the edge of the box. Here's Grace Gill looking to open up. Grace Gill drives it at goal. And Sally James is there behind it. And Belconnen, you can see, they don't want to foul her there, do they? Because you've seen what she can do from free kicks.
Yeah, absolutely. Having my heart broken by Grace Gill on more than one occasion when I was coaching, you don't want to foul anywhere in and around that area. You've got to try and find a way to get your body in front and take that shot on goal away.
Hagan looking for Palumbi. Pike's come across. It's been a really good battle between these two as well.
Yeah, and Pike has stood up well, which she probably hasn't had the opportunity to attack. She had Bunker previously and Palombi now, but she stood up well defensively, and that's the main job of that wide defender. Stop a goal before you go and score one, and she's done very, very well.
Gill. Brown back defending. Ooh. She's rather sliced that, and that'll be a corner. And you look at moments in games.
Yeah, and
free shot here for Canberra FC that they perhaps didn't expect to get.
Yeah, Brown's had the odd issue this game in terms of her touch and her direction of her pass, and enough pressure on there from Canberra FC to force her into a bit of a hack.
Brittany Palumbi to take the corner, left-footed. Can she deliver something good? It's a decent one towards the far post. There's a nod at goal. I think it was Ryan. It was it Berkeley that got the header onto it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Coming on the far post. There's a bit of a rise in the atmosphere. Berkeley's going to take the corner after her header was blocked at the near post. And there's something happening here. Georgia Girardella's getting a card out for someone.
Is it Galich?
It is.
Ooh.
And Ivana Galich has been sent off. Now, I don't know what's happened off the ball there, or whether she said something. Georgia Girardello, a huge moment in the match. Ivana Galich gets a second yellow card and sees red. And, Matt, that changes the whole complexion.
Absolutely. It's not something that you want in a grand final, but Galich picking up that early yellow and a second one there. She's the leader of that back four. She's the absolute key person.
There's a clash in there with Brown. Was there an arm raised? Maybe that was it just there, just back a second. And as she ran past Catherine Brown, there was a connection. And Georgia Girardella seen it and deemed it enough for a yellow. And Canberra FC are down to 10 with 25 minutes to play. They do have the corner, though. Swung in towards the far post. That's not a good header. Ryan's in there. Gill's there as well. Might come for Goldstein, and she couldn't keep the shot down. It was, in fact, cleared by a blue shirt for another corner. It's all happening.
Yeah, and this changes the complexity of the game in general play. But these corners, if Canberra FC can get a result here, it again changes the game and gets them a little bit in front. They'll be desperate to get something on at the end of this. They've lost Galich, who's their leader defensively, and a really solid target from a free kick. But if they can get something here and go 1-0 up with 10 players, it makes a huge difference to the game.
Palumbi with the corner. Another decent one towards the far post. At this occasion, Berkeley Rose couldn't get a touch.
And interesting to see now how both teams change. So, you know, you'd be reluctant if you're Canberra FC to go 1v1 at the back. Galich is the central defender. You would normally have your four at the back. If you lose her, you're then asking your remaining back three there of Wright, Tamaro and Goldstein to deal with the threat of Bobbin, Jalocka and Brown. And 1v1 I don't think is the way you want to go. Now also, does it change the way Belconnen play? Because they're going to have to drop a player somewhere around there. And does that result in Belconnen starting to get their midfielder in play? And does it change any Jagarenic's proposed suspension? Sorry, he's not getting suspended. Substitution with Alexa Fauna.
Well, Canberra FC have a free kick, which Brittany Palumbi's going to take. Could I ask you about the send-off in a minute, Matt? Got a question for you. We'll wait and see what happens here first. Palumbi with a left footer. Again, it's a decent delivery in towards Grace Gill, who wins the header, but lacks the power to trouble Sally James. Was there enough in that with Galich from what you saw to justify the second yellow?
Look, from what I saw, I would say no. I think there's words there, and I think the referees potentially put themselves in a corner there. And we said about the first yellow.
We'll come back to it in just a second, Matt, as Bobbin takes it up the other end. Bronte Pike, furthest forward she's been all afternoon. Munoz looking to lift one towards the far post. That's asking a big question of Mickey Day. She'll do well to keep it in. Now, can she deliver something? Picks out Jalocka. Nicely done to create a bit of space. Firing it across goal, and it almost fell for Kira Bobbin on the far post. She was a stud away. Was there clashed with the arm, though, when Garnett's been past. Did she try and push her away and catch her in the face? Or?
Yeah, I think it certainly was an extended arm looking to get separation, which isn't necessarily uncommon while you're making a run into a corner. But yellow card, I'm not sure. I think we see those clashes so much in set pieces that potentially you have the word first. Brown certainly didn't go down like she was in any kind of serious pain or injury. She didn't hold her face. So interesting to see what happens here. And for me personally, I'd like to see the referee give the warning.
Vanessa Ryan said a few words here as well, so she's getting told to calm down. It's feisty, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It changes the complexity of the game for the referee and for the players. And the thing that players have got to be careful for it from a Canberra FC point of view, don't get wrapped up in the emotion. So this is the really height, and the next 10 minutes are the height of that emotion. And you feel let down and you feel a little bit robbed potentially, but now you've got to move on with that and actually get on and play the game.
20 minutes to play, just over. Clark with the free kick, delivering it into the danger area. Cluster his shirts there. Rushat won the header, and it inched its way wide rather apologetically.
Yeah, up there and winning those targets again that we talk about from Canberra FC. Good ball in, maybe a little bit behind where they would have wanted it, so they couldn't quite time the run. But well played all the same. And yeah, as you said, just sneaking wide of that far post. And it does look like, credit to Nick Brosnich, he's putting it on the line. He's stuck with the three at the back. He's decided that they're going to go and try and win this game as opposed to hold out and lose it. Or not to lose it, sorry, I should say. And full credit to him.
Churchill sends it forwards. Good strong win by Rushat, but she's been penalised for it. Unfortunately, Matt, at the full-time whistle, if Belconnen do win, we are going to be asking the question about the red card and how much it's changed the game.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing. With red cards, they do change the context of the game, and when they're obvious red cards, they're easily explainable, but when they're potentially subjective decisions and it's the evidence, which is hard, whether you're watching it live here on Bar TV or in the stands, or you've seen that replay, knowing what happened, potentially there was something said as well that we don't know, which could have influenced the decision as well.
Hagen's drive, it's going to fall for Gill in the penalty area here, and she's blocked off it by a good challenge from Rushat. It's got a bit of cramp.
Yeah. I tell you what, though, this Canberra FC crowd that are occupying the stand closest to the goal that Canberra FC are attacking are certainly on their feet every time they get anywhere near. And maybe we talk about crowds becoming the 12th player, maybe they become the 11th and just help them sneak in.
The response to the send-off has been generally very good from Canberra FC. Hexton on that occasion. Right.
The trick now for Belconnen is where do they have their overload? So where can they find that extra player? They should, for all intents and purposes, have the one player extra. Is this where the midfield comes into play? You can see now, just off your screen, Woodman sitting in the centre of the park, right in the centre circle. You can just see as the ball goes past, in acres and acres of space. Is that now where they get the loop? Because the second somebody drives out there, you're asking questions of that back three that are now 1v1.
Pike wins the ball. Munoz, lovely ball towards Brown, but Churchill watched it all the way. Tamaro. Bobbin is lurking here. Here's Kira Bobbin. She's got the touch. Out comes Vasta, and that's a good piece of goalkeeping. She was anticipated that the whole way.
Yeah, well done by Vasta. Waited for the touch, saw it was heavy and came out and cleaned it up. Munoz went early looking for Brown over the top. Again, had Woodman sitting in that pocket in the middle of the park. With the extra player, I don't know that Belconnen need to go so direct anymore. They've got the ability to find someone through the middle.
Decision goes Canberra FC's way. Has been played in a good spirit, this one. Hagen, lovely piece of skill. Nutmegs Katie Woodman. Gill does very similar to Jessie Rushat, but Rushat is strong. It's fallen for Palumbi. Goldstein, one-on-one with Day. Can she pick a pass? Gill tries to play it round the corner. Keir was back there. Day under pressure from Ryan. And Munoz sends it away from goal. And in the 10 minutes or so since the send-off, Canberra FC have done well.
Yeah, they've certainly more than held their own. They're pushing forward. They haven't changed. They've accepted the fact that the defender's gone. They've kept the rest of the shape the same. And are still continuing to ask questions. Rushat's stretching out a cramp again. She's been the key defensive figure for Belconnen there. And Alexia Fauna the one we spoke about earlier, who can unpick a game. She's got all the talent in the world, this kid. Rocks onto the park.
This comes on for Katie Woodman, who didn't get quite as involved as she would have liked this afternoon.
No, and the key will be you can bring Fauna on to change the game, which she absolutely can. She's got all the technique in the world and can strike a ball like no one's business. But if you don't get the ball into that midfield, she's going to be as ineffectual as Woodman was because she's not going to see it.
That might precipitate a change in playing style. Good long throw that from Clark. Berkeley chips it away. Ryan helps it even further. Clark's in there to steal it back, and she tried one from a mile out. Churchill saw the danger and blocked it and did well. As does Ryan. He wins the team a free kick.
Yeah, a little nutmeg on Clark first before getting a bit of a kick. But, yeah, well done by Canberra FC. And, again, now it becomes decision-based for Belconnen United. You have the extra player, so Clark's taken the shot there. But we had the wide striker out there all on their own. Could you have played Brown in instead of taking the long-range shot? So as much as, you know, we feel for Canberra FC being down to 10, Belconnen need to take advantage of it through decision-making.
It's an absorbing contest. And we don't know who's going to win it. Corvin out to go. No goals. Churchill finds Gill. Tamaro. Very composed on the ball, Tamaro. As I say that, loose pass is picked off from Keir. That's a good win back. And a free kick. Brown penalised on this occasion. A foul on Jamie Berkeley.
Yeah,
who wasn't shy to have a chat with the referee. He's now having a chat with Catherine Brown. We do have the sin bin available to us today. Very popular sin bin, I should say.
Yeah, a few players have spent some time there. Yeah, interesting to see. So the referee's handling it well too, because the temptation would be, I've given a yellow card, I've sent a player off. There's been no attempt here for the referee to even it up. Not that I say they do that deliberately, but sometimes unconsciously you go, well, yeah, I've done one, I better do the other. But she's taking every challenge on its merit.
Pullenby swings it in towards Gill. It's not her best one, and it's a bit of a waste for Canberra FC. I get your point. You do see that sometimes, that some referees do feel that perhaps a difficult decision in a big game like this. Look, she's obviously seen something.
Yeah, that's right. And she was in a great position. We saw on the
100%.
replay she was absolutely in a great position. So certainly not questioning the decision. Just hard to know from here the basis behind it.
Goldstein nods it down towards Gill. You can see what she was trying to do, help it on its way. And the bounce was a little awkward for a moment, wasn't it, for Sally James? She'd have had a heart in her mouth just for a brief seconds.
It's one of those things where it looks easy, but you've got the sun. It's just coming down. Oh.
That would have been horrible.
Yep.
Bobbin. She's certainly thrown her weight around in the second half. Jalocca chasing Tamaro back, and safety first approach.
Yeah, absolutely there. And just go back to your point about the Pullenby free kick. They can't afford to waste those opportunities. Down to 10 at some point. The 10 men, or the 10 women, sorry, come back to hurt you potentially. So you've got to take advantage of everything that you can.
Bobbin turning, looking to win the corner off of Bridget Wright, and does so. And we'll see Clark and Rashart making their way forward. Catherine Brown, who is at the centre of that controversy, she's coming to take the corner. Is this their moment? Is this the moment that Belconnen make the breakthrough? Brown to swing this into the danger area.
Yeah, if you were Belconnen, you'd be looking to send players forward and put a Rashart at the back post.
Good ball in from Brown, and up climbs Rashart, and she probably took it off the head of Karen Clark, who may have been better positioned behind her.
Yeah, absolutely there. Almost felt like a genius, but yeah, you're right. Karen Clark in the much better position there, and that's where the communication becomes the key. But Rashart again after that, stretching out some cramp. So there starts to be questions whether, you know, as we get closer and closer to the end of this game with 12 minutes to go, it's been a hot day. If it stays 0-0 and we go into extra time, who can actually run it out?
Vasta sends it forwards, won by Munoz. Breaks between two FC defenders, and that is heavy as well. And Karen Clark didn't like that.
No, I didn't like it at all.
Vanessa Ryan.
I don't think there was any malice there from Ryan, and she had eyes for the ball. It's one of those things where Clark's got there first, and they've collided. And
was there a little bit of comeback there from Karen Clark after the tackle, though? We might see on the replay here. Did she let her know she wasn't a fan of it, or was just had a picture, unfortunately? She wasn't best pleased with the challenge, let's say.
No, absolutely not. But Ryan already committed in the air. Unfortunately, we know people can't disappear. That's the way it goes.
Saw one for Clark, who looks to take the retribution by sending the ball forwards.
I'm sure Bunker enjoyed it. He's probably nursing a couple of ice packs on the sideline.
Vasta pumps it forward. We're into the final 12 minutes of normal time. Extra half an hour and penalties could be looming in the near future unless one of these sides can find a way through. 10 players, Canberra FC, remember. James, which is fairly thrashed at. It's a great bit of skill from Rashard to bring it down.
It's unbelievable there.
Not sure how she's done that. We'll have to ask her afterwards. Day swings it to this near side to Brown. Decent knock forward, looking for Bobbin. That's come off Churchill.
You can see Bobbin and Brown switching back now, so Brown in her more familiar left-hand side. And that might be what they're looking for now, that early 45-degree ball. But you could see the ball going through Day in the midfield, and Belconnen having far more control than they've probably had for most of the game.
Clark
and that's
sends that out of play.
That's probably been the key, Russ. We think back to the early part of the first half there, and Clark's very sore, as you can see on your screen now. When Day got on the ball, she was able to run and challenge defenders, and her passing accuracy let her down a little bit. But if you can start to get back to that and play through the midfield, that's when Belconnen looked at their most dangerous early on and where they had all the pressure.
This one towards Gill. Rashard's in there. She's struggling a bit with cramp. Clark struggling a bit. Potentially of another 10 minutes plus another half hour. Day. Clark thumps it forward. It's actually a decent ball towards Fauna, who's hardly been involved since she's come on. Brown.
Oh, heavy.
Perhaps she went the wrong way. Fauna peeled off to this near side. Wasn't many at home for Canberra FC down the right flank.
No, Brown had sucked everyone in. If she could have held it just a little bit longer, could have made the world of difference. And you've got Hagan stretching out cramp for Canberra FC as well. So there's issues everywhere. It's the end of the long season, and it's very, very hot.
Hagan and Clark in the challenge. Bobbin to chase, and she's got the pace to get this and keep it in play. Now, has she got support? Jaloka. Forced backwards to Kier. Ryan tracking back diligently to help out defensively. Here's Hagan. Lunging challenge from Jaloka. Churchill finds Ryan. It's a loose ball picked up by those in blue. Jaloka. Fauna. Looks for the 1-2. Didn't get the return, or didn't go for the return from Michaela Day. Still not away. Wright.
It's well done by Wright there. If she didn't get that on the half volley, there was Brown all alone.
Good touch from Gill. Brings Goldstein forward. Invites her to run at the Belconnen defence. The FC fans getting behind their team. Just a reminder, 6 o'clock tonight. Men's Grand Final, Gungahlin versus Tigers FC. Live on Bar TV Sports. Tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock at this stadium. NPL 2 Grand Final, O'Connor Knights versus ANU FC. Something a bit different. Next season, of course, NPL 2 champions promoted. NPL 1 last place, relegated. So, whole new ball game in Canberra next year.
Yeah, exciting. It'll be an exciting year.
Gill, twisting and turning, finds Ryan. Churchill, into Gill, tried to get the shot away. Still fourth for Grace Gill, 3 shirts needed to clear it. Karen Clark doing the business in the end. You wouldn't know that FC are a player down at the moment. Hagan finds Palumbi. Now Day. Not her best pass. Churchill picks it off on the second touch. It's too heavy. Kier. She wore one late from Vanessa Ryan, who needs to be a bit careful. That's a couple since she's come on.
Yeah, no. Yeah, the late one on Clark before and that one on Kerr. But you can just see the ball from Day there. She's looking for Kerr in that overlapping run, but Canberra FC with the back three, they're reluctant to follow the player, so there's actually not the channel there, and that's where they might need to look a little bit shorter and a little bit straighter.
Clark behind the free kick. No doubting where this one's going. Launched towards the edge of the penalty area, won by Munoz, but only as far as Vasta in the goal.
Yeah, and we talk about the second ball sometimes, Russ. So Belconnen have been very good at winning that first ball from Karen Clark as it comes in, but they'd be really disappointed with how they approach the second one. You can see that ball's dropping right on the edge of the 18, but who's anticipating? Like we see here, who's anticipating the next ball and the flick on? Even there, Bobbin's probably too far away from Jalocka to take advantage of a potential flick on, and you're going to need to gamble. It's a grand final. You're going to need to gamble slightly to get what you need.
7 minutes to play. Can someone break the deadlock? Munoz finds Jalocka. Good run made by Fauna, and she spotted it. The substitutes advancing forward, and she tried to clip it into Bobbin. And Alice Churchill made sure that there was no danger.
Yeah, quality work there by Churchill to get across and take that ball away. But again, we've seen for the first time there a shorter ball, a ball inside, a shorter defender, a shorter pass in, and then that results in releasing Fauna down the line instead of going over the top.
Amy McLaughlin's coming on for Krista Hagen. So that might be a little bit of a change. McLaughlin, mostly defender. Maybe they will go back to 4 at the back.
Yeah, maybe potentially with the last 5 minutes wanting to take a gamble into extra time.
Bounces in the area, chance for Fauna. Bounced over her head. Comes as far as Catherine Brown. Looking to create an opening. Wright sticking to her like glue, but Brown got through the initial challenge, and then the decision is a free kick, I think. What's Georgia Girardello given here? Has she penalised Bridget Wright right on the edge of the penalty area? I think she has.
Yeah, that ball ducked out the back early for Brown, and from a Belconnen point of view, there was no support early for Brown. You know, Brown's a good player and can whip a ball in, but she's not necessarily the player who beats people 1v1, so she's done well to win the free kick there, but maybe a bit early support from Belconnen. And Alexia Fauna on the ball there, looking to create something.
She is an architect in this sort of situation. Can she pick out a blue shirt? Goes to the near post. Vasta got a fist on it. Might come for Day, and that's an important block from Alice Churchill, because Mickey Day was winding that one up.
Absolutely, and it sounded like she hit it sweetly as well. And Churchill, again, she made the covering aspect on Fauna before, and she's the first one of the box to prevent Day from getting that shot target on goal. But great delivery there from Fauna.
Another big one from Clark. It's come off of Goldstein. Might drop for Munoz in the penalty area, but handball is the call. And less than 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, and again, you look at that second ball. So they've got the throw-in threat that's long, and Nick Brosnich has just delivered some instructions to Grace Gill there. Just a quick word. So they have gone back to 4 at the back. Canberra have seen it looks like Grace Gill might start to drop in a little bit more into the midfield to protect this 0-0 heading into extra time.
It's been knocked forward. Here's a chance for Nicole Jalocka into the penalty area, and Vasta comes charging off her line to clear it well, and the goalkeeper certainly earning her corn there.
Absolutely. Vasta, not for the first time today, quick off the line. Munoz has done brilliantly well to get there. How do they deal with the long throw? It's been an issue for them, though.
Clark winding one up again, looking to launch this into the penalty area, looking for Munoz, who brought it down. Bobbin fires it across goal, and it's been spilt behind by Vasta for a corner. It's Belconnen's turn to put the pressure on into the final 4 minutes.
Yeah, they're really trying to tighten the screws here, Belconnen. Canberra Sea finding it very hard to get over halfway, and great control by Munoz, and a good stroke by Bobbin, and Vasta again, you know, all credit to her. Although she spilt it, she's prevented the goal.
Brown with the latest set piece and a chance to test Vasta and the Canberra FC defence. Can they stand firm again? Brown swings it in towards the near post. It's met, and it's put hooks off the line somehow. Jalocka got there. And that's a firm challenge on Brown, and it's not a good one. And is that Ryan again?
Yeah, it is Ryan again there. She's come in.
This will be interesting because it didn't look pretty.
It looked very ugly. She's just taken out that standing leg, I think. We'll look for the replay here. But
Georgia Girardello asking the question of Delfina Tomoski, and there is a card. It is yellow. There was Jalocka, and how's that not gone in?
Oh, it's a great work from Vasta there to get across and save. You know, Jalocka, who I don't think scored a header ever, has got up and done really well there. And I think back to the last round of the year where she missed a header from 2 yards out, and that could have been the moment. And Vasta,
it's a lot easier than that, wasn't it?
Yeah, she's done brilliantly well there, Vasta. And Another dangerous free kick with Fauna again looking to replicate what she did before.
Can she pick out someone this time? Alexia Fauna. Plenty of blue shirts in and around the 6-yard box. It's fired across, but she can't beat Churchill at the first attempt. Yeah. And then has Churchill's had a massive air swing at it.
Yeah, look, in Fauna's defence, Churchill couldn't beat herself in the first attempt either.
Here's Ryan. Got herself a yellow card, which almost been brewing since she came on. Finds Goldstein. Couldn't find the forward pass. Michaela Day into the last 95 seconds of the contest.
You can see the numbers loaded up for Belconnen. And they start to, oh, that's ugly. Belconnen loading up the numbers and Canberra FC giving the centre backs a little bit of a chance to run.
Gill tried to squeeze it through to Palumbi. Brown.
There's the ball.
Day looks for Bobbin out wide. Finds her. Fauna ahead. Bobbin looking to take on Churchill. Acceleration, and that's a great challenge.
That is a great
from
tackle
Canberra's FC's right back, left back. Alice Churchill just sliding in. Years of experience behind that one.
It's 3 times in the last 10 minutes that Churchill's been one of the saviours for Canberra FC, along with Vasta. But again, you can start to see as Belconnen start to use their midfield and they find Day there and looking to release. They're starting to really take control of this game.
Brown with the corner, final minute of the 90. Swings it in towards Rashad, who wins the header. Might fall for Munoz on the turn, and she got a piece of it. Not enough to keep it down.
Yeah, on her unfavoured right foot there. And again, that threat, that constant threat. And if you're Canberra FC, you're telling Vasta to just slow things down. We're inside a minute to go. Can we get to the break and recoup and change our messages and our deliveries there? But the 1v1 from Belconnen might create the turnover.
Vasta, who made that great save from Jaloka. Good winner by Gill. Palumbi will chase this. Pike, who's had to do defensive work in the main, and does that superbly well. And then is picked off by Berkeley. Now here's a chance for Palumbi. Across comes Rashat. Asking a lot of James, and that's a mistake. Here's Brittany Palumbi, and James recovers. Magnificent piece of goalkeeping at the second attempt after initially giving it away, and she's not only that, she sent Fauna on away at the other end. Munoz through the middle. Touch was a bit loose. Brown knocks it back down to Munoz. Here's Jaloka. Plenty forwards. Churchill in the way. Bobbin. Canberra FC had their hearts broken very late in the Federation Cup semi-final, in the 5 minutes of stoppage time at the end of extra time in that one. Is Lightning going to strike twice? Yeah, Clark with the throw.
James there recovered well, you know, just to go back to that aspect of Palombi, covered well, made the mistake but dove straight on it.
Clark to launch this into the penalty area. Another long throw. Munoz is the target. Comes off the back of Tamaro and cleared by Berkeley for the corner.
Berkeley's taken it off Vasta there. You would have preferred Vasta to get a hold of that and be able to settle it down and try and drive it towards the end.
Into stoppage time at the end of 90 minutes. Catherine Brown lining up a left-footed corner for Belconnen. Swinging it in towards Pike, who's made a run forward. Churchill manfully defends it. Flicked on by Pike. FC survived that foray, and Goldstein might be able to create something on the counter. Sends it forwards. And that's Bobbin back there defending. Gill plucks it out of the sky, loses out to Rashart. Fauna. Calm head to go back to a goalkeeper and start again. Maybe there's time for one more Belconnen foray before we hit extra time. Berkeley wins it. Now Ryan, if she could get hold of this, the flag's going to go up though. And she is offsides. You could tell by the fact that Carla Martin didn't move that that was coming.
Yep. Canberra FC fans potentially not agreeing, but given the tense of the moment, I've got to say I've never agreed with an offside that's ever been made against me. So
I've never been offside, mate. Never offside up here anyway.
That's right.
It's been a great game to watch. Are we going to get a winner? Here's Bobbin looking to get through the middle. She might provide it. Kira Bobbin, that Vasta, brilliant save. Keeps her team in the grand final.
Great little killer ball in behind there, and Bobbin, credit to her, never gave up. And Vasta off her line to smother the threat again between her and Churchill. They've absolutely kept Canberra FC in this game here. It's been a phenomenal effort by those two.
That would have been heartbreaking for Nick Brosnich and his team to concede so late. Gill. Samaro. Fauna was there. Jaloka. She got Munoz outside her, goes to Bobbin instead. Bobbin does well, and that's enough for the 90 minutes. We can't be separated, Matt. No goals and chances at both ends.
Yeah, absolutely there. You know, to Canberra FC's credit, they went down to 10, and for probably the first 5 to 6 minutes there, they actually had the run of the play. They kept them under pressure and kept them under pressure. And Belconnen growing into that game. They're really growing into the game and put a lot of pressure on Canberra FC. And Alice Churchill and Nat Vassar have been absolutely huge at the back there. And you saw a slight tweak in the Canberra FC formation to go to a back four and bring Grace Gill in the midfield. So they've almost got that 4-3-2 going on there. And interesting to see what happens in the extra time period with Belconnen on a roll. And does Anthony Jagarenic risk a change? Does he bring on a Carnegie who's got goals off the bench to replace a Brown or a Bobbin? So plenty of questions to be asked for the coaches, but the message now will be absolutely key for both sides.
Wasn't much between them in either of the games they played in the league this season. There wasn't much between them in the qualification final. There's nothing between them in the grand final. At the moment, it's 0-0. We're heading to extra time. We'll be back to bring you commentary of that full time at 90 minutes. It's Belconnen 0, Canberra FC 0. Well, David Jordan from Capital Football left to join the Mariners, and he used to call this free football. So if he's watching, this is view, Dave. It's free football. Hey. Half an hour of it. It's a Women's National Premier League Canberra final. It's Belconnen 0, Canberra FC 0 at the break. And start of extra time, and the main point, if you're just tuning in, is the red card to Ivana Galic on 65 minutes, so second of the match, means that Canberra FC will play this extended period with 10 players, and Matt Moore joining me in commentary. As the game goes on, as players get tired and spaces appear, that might come back to haunt them.
Yeah, absolutely. You could even see Nick Brosnich, and I said at the time, to his credit, left the three at the back for about a 10-15 minute period and then made the adjustment to go to back four. He could see that Belconnen was starting to get on top, and he wanted to make that adjustment and shore up the back four and pull Grace Gill back into a midfield role as well. So it'll be hard going, but if Canberra FC, we've seen it in football, 10v11, 10 win, it's not uncommon.
2 periods of 15 minutes. Who will blink first? Will it be Belconnen United, the champions, only conceded 2 goals all season, or will it be Canberra FC playing a neutral final at their home venue and down to 10? Very much the underdogs. We're interesting half an hour, and perhaps penalties to come, and maybe that Chantal Jones question that we've been asking for most of the last 3 or 4 weeks will be answered within the next half an hour. FC attacking the goal to our left, but a loose ball from Berkeley almost offered Kira Bobbin the first chance of extra time.
Yeah, and you can see the first, I guess, positional switch already made at the start of extra time with the Belconnen coaching staff pushing Bobbin into that centre striking role and releasing Jalocka into a wider role. So already starting to move the chess pieces really early on in the extra time.
Pike. Jalocka.
And I think the reason behind that move, Russ, is we saw how influential Bobbin was when she narrowed off and came inside. If you can do that more often and more consistently, that'll be the key. And this is the first time Lauren Kerr's really been able to wrap around today.
Brown finds Lauren Kerr outside her. Runners in the penalty area, fires it across goal. Tamaro was there. Bobbin didn't gamble at all, and I think you can hear Antti Jagarinic asking the question. Got to gamble in that situation as a centre forwards.
That's right. Tamaro well positioned, but Bobbin not close enough to nip in front. And in those sorts of areas, it's just a touch. But we can see through there that Kerr started. I don't think we've seen that from her today. And that's been a key of their football all year, is getting that wide left defender and that wide right defender overlapping and creating issues. If you're Belconnen now too, you go 1v1, right? You go 1v1, you've got the spare, you've done it all year. The question is, Canberra FC, they've had issues getting it out when it was 11v11. How are they going to break the line now? And it looks like Vasta's going to go long, which is probably the sensible route.
Belconnen got their substitutes warming up. Vasta sends that down the field. Munoz nods it forwards. Bobbin finds Jalocka. Goldstein back to make sure that there's no problems.
Yeah, and be interesting to see with Belconnen, do they leave a Munoz or a Day sitting in the middle of the park, so you can just see there's no coverage there. I know they've got 11, but you still need balance in that midfield, and if they haven't got it, they might get burnt, and you don't want to let Grace Gill run into an empty paddock.
Decent crowd in here, as I mentioned, including members of the Woden Western women's reserve side that won their grand final 3-0 today. Day puts that into the penalty area. Good turn by Bobbin. Opportunity for Kira Bobbin, and she strikes the crossbar. A fierce effort, and that's why she's in the number 9 role.
Yeah, fantastic little turn. She shielded the ball well, and she's driven. That's a poleaxe there.
Danger still not averted. Might be now. Right, hooks it away. Goldstein misses it. Jalocka helps it on its way, and the frame in the goal still rattled by that effort from Kira Bobbin.
And that's where the loss of Galic really comes into play. She's been the physical force there that's been able to hold off those centre forwards and prevent them from getting that early turn. And a bit of a change there with her not there. Bobbin having a lot more influence, and she's gone off the
Such a sharp turn, wasn't it? And the strike was perfect. Half an inch lower, and we would have had our first goal.
Yeah, and we know after the efforts that Vass has had so far in the match that if you're going to beat her all ends up, that's a hard thing to do today, and she certainly did.
Moments like that, though, as a coach, make you question whether it's going to be your day.
You definitely have a thought in the back of your head. You know, they've had the one from Karen Clark in the first half. They've had the crossbar here. They've had Vasta and Churchill deny them a couple of times. You do start to wonder, how many more chances are we going to get?
Here's Gill. In that respect, it reminds you somewhat of the 2017 version, I think it was, when Belconnen dominated the play, and yet Canberra FC stole it on penalties.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was in the crowd that night, and someone's gone down injured. That's good. Oh, she's gone straight back up. So well played by Berkeley. She's got the free kick and off she goes.
Yeah, and that was similar, wasn't it? Belconnen had the chances that night and they wasted a fair few.
Yeah, that's right. And look, to be honest, a lot of these players that were playing for Belconnen were there that night, and that could start to play if they go into the penalties, because their penalties that night, and you can talk to the players, they won't deny it, were horrendous that night.
They weren't great, were they? Well, we might be heading towards that unless someone can find a way through two super tight defences. Palumbi lifts the ball into the penalty area. Might come for Churchill. Hooks it goalwards, and it had Sally James worried for momentarily. Dipped onto the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, interesting there. Sally James probably not really knowing where the goal is too, so there's tensions everywhere. It's not just the players on the field, but the goalkeeper there too, wandering back into her own goal and bumping into a post on her way. It's all about composure here for Belconnen.
Talking about composure, great touch. Ball from Fauna finds Jaloka. Not quite so good. Gets a second opportunity though. Better this time. Finds Catherine Brown. Looking to open it up on that left foot, and that's another brilliant sliding challenge from Alice Churchill. She had to get that 100% right. Yeah,
you're in the danger zone with the penalty, and if you go to ground and you don't get the ball, it's game over. So well done to her again, coming to the rescue. But you can see the combination. Fauna, that's why she's been brought on. She can open up the games with that great technique, and she's found Jaloka early. And if those combinations continue, it's going to be hard.
Pike found Jaloka. A little surprised they didn't send Clark forward for another long one. Been causing some issues towards the end of the 90 minutes.
Yeah, shoulders might be sore. I know mine are just from watching.
Either way, they've won themselves a corner, which Catherine Brown will go to take, and Jaloka, Rashad and Clark rather do join the attack on this occasion. Bobbin forced to retreat to help Lauren Keir with the pace of Brittany Palumbi.
Yeah, and if you've got a corner, this is the side that you want it on, because your runners are running away from the sun, so there shouldn't be an issue with the sun.
Brown swinging it in towards the far post. Clark arriving, got the nod down for the result of a corner on this near side, where all the sun will be in their face.
Yeah,
conversely.
Perfect. So be interesting to see what they do. Do they make an adjustment for the sun? I mean, the defenders have got to deal with it as well, and this is where you might see that little scramble in on the 18, where it turns into a bit of pinball and anything can happen. There's a long trek for Brown.
If that happens, that is the best call. We'll see. Brown, that's very specific.
Yes.
Brown with the latest. Drifts it towards the far post where Rashad had come in. 2 number 5s battling away, and Jamie Berkeley just watched it out of play. Calm as you like. Looking at the options, Maria Pachi, a midfielder. Leah Carnegie, who you mentioned just before the break, as a forward. Jazz Zabel as a defender for Belconnen. Canberra FC have only got 1 card to play. Laura Agnew, defender, or Jordan Oida, the forward. They've already made 2 changes.
Yeah, and I think if you're Nick Brosnich, you leave your last one as late as possible. Because if you need to chase the game, then you need an Oida. If you want to lock it up and go to penalties, do you bring on Agnew or do you bring on Jones? And that becomes the vital question there.
Yeah, difficult one for him. Already put on Vanessa Ryan and Amy McLaughlin. And Vanessa Ryan, on a yellow card, needs to be careful for the rest of this extra time period. Plenty of people in today, plenty more coming in for the men's grand final as well. It's difficult to find a car park, wasn't it, for you, Manny?
Yeah, it was. But that's what you want. You know, I'd rather turn up and struggle to find a car park than be able to rock up and get the first one at the front of the gate. So, exciting day, and good to see plenty of people out and about on a perfect day for football.
Third match of 4 at Deakin Stadium today. A couple more to come tomorrow. And grand finals also at McKellar tomorrow afternoon as well. I think Wagga City Wanderers are playing here tomorrow in the under-20s grand final. Or the NPL, sorry, I should say the NPL 2 Reserves grand final against ANU.
Corner time again. Interesting to see. So they've gone deep the last 2. So do you start to become predictable and back yourself for Clark in the back to come into that back post? Would you potentially look for something a little bit flatter, because we know Jaloka at the back end of the second half almost pinch one at the front post. Sooner or later, they're going to get one right. Rashad wins that header. Meaty connection, but couldn't test Nat Vasta. Yeah, and that's a tough one there. You know, Rashad's running the other way, and she's got to flick that around. That's always a big ask. So they need to really get that delivery sorted, Belconnen, to take advantage of that, because you don't want to let Canberra FC off the hook. 6 minutes of the first period of extra time to go. You're watching Women's National Premier League Canberra Grand Final.
Belconnen and Canberra FC, the two best sides in the comp, going toe-to-toe. Here's Bobbin, who hit the bar at this earlier on, and she's going for goal again, and this time she tests Vasta in a more conventional manner.
Yeah, good positioning there by Vasta and no panic. But again, Bobbin running at the defence is a big concern for Canberra FC.
Here is Bobbin again, turning and looking to find Jaloka. And Vasta comes out again, and she got rid of the last one rather quickly. I think Nick Brosnich will ask her to just relax a little bit, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see Jaloka there just a little bit ginger after that run through, and it starts to become the question. You know, we're almost into the end of the first half of extra time. You might be one player up, but do you have the engines and the effort to run through to the end of the game?
Good ball from Palumbi. Now Goldstein. Munoz with her. She's away from the veteran midfielder. Rachel Goldstein into the air, goes past the second, still going. Goldstein, what a run this is. And only denied at the death by Jessie Rashard, I think that was.
Yeah, Rashard coming to the rescue there. Fantastic there. We've seen Goldstein do it at the other end, and Rashard do that 1,000 times this year. She zipped through Goldstein. It's the first time we've seen her in that natural wide area for her, and she was able to zip past two and really create an effort. And that's that counter-attacking football that's going to be key for Canberra FC to get something if they're going to avoid penalties.
Berkeley with the corner. Not many red shirts in the box to aim for. So she goes a bit further out. Nick Brosnich obviously not risking too much on the break there.
No, and a change of tactic from Belconnen too. They left three high. They haven't done that normally. But they left Fauna, Jaloka and Bobbin, and maybe that's deliberate to reduce the options for Canberra FC in the middle there. So smart move by Belconnen to ask a different question, and Canberra FC to make sure that they can't get burnt going the other way. But no midfield for Canberra FC in the middle of the park. Grace Gill's been there. She's now out wide, but there's no central player. There's no balance there, and Canberra FC are going to need somebody in every key bit of pocket to play and go forward.
Got 4 minutes plus another 15 to see out if they descend this one to penalties. Can they find a winner? Down to 10 since the 65th minute. Churchill. Jaloka standing her up, doing a defensive job. Goldstein, whose run that was a moment ago. That's a good header to find Churchill. It's given her the angle to get the cross in, and it's not a bad one. There was Rashart again.
Yeah, and if I'm Churchill, I'm in that high area, I'm going to start to take Jaloka on, I think. She's a bit ginger. Churchill is explosive. Can you take advantage of the fact that her right leg's heavily strapped, and she's obviously far from 100%?
Well, let's see how they line up for this corner again. As you mentioned, they left three up last time. Goldstein wins this one. Palumbi comes across the take. And again, it looks like there's a few. Fauna, Bobbin and Jaloka will stay forward, and Jaloka, as you out of picture, is hobbling a little.
You can see Berkeley drifting to that back post. She's got a dozen goals or so from back there this year.
Palumbi, flat delivery to Vanessa Ryan. Here's Grace Gill, almost opened up for her, and she's pushed off it. Berkeley with a shot, and it's wide. She gets up rather tiredly as well.
She's done a lot of work today. She's been box to box all day.
James wants to get us underway quickly. I'm not sure the players in front of her would thank her. Here's Brown, though. She might. Advancing forward. She spotted Vasta off her line, Kath Brown, and she's got for goal. Oh. And it wasn't too far away. The vision for Catherine Brown, and the execution was almost perfect.
Yeah, so great early ball there by James. It's bounced over the top, and Brown running and no obvious option. Seeing Vasta high, looking for that killer pass, and why not? You can see she's well off the line and well beaten. Oh,
if that was on target, that was a goal.
That's it.
There's no way that Vasta's stopping that. The height that came down from.
And that's what you were mentioning earlier, Ross. You want something special to win it, right? You don't want
that would have been special. Wouldn't have seen many better than that. In any grade, at any level, men's or women's. Gill. Fauna. Nicely done. Looks for Clark. And she couldn't get that across, and she was caught a little bit late there, I think.
Yeah, just got a little bit on the ankle there as Goldstein, I think it was, slid in. And just some cramp as well. So some good sportsmanship there from Churchill, lending her hand. She's a better person than me. I probably would have left her there hoping that she had to come off.
Just been told that the men's NPL Grand Final will now kick off at 6:15. 15-minute delay to that, to enable the extra time to be finished here and the presentation party, and I think that's to get the teams out on the field and give them a proper warm-up more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's Gill looking for Ryan ahead of us. So that's 6:15, Gungahlin versus Tigers FC. Day loses out to Berkeley.
Well done by Berkeley.
And Pike gets in ahead of Gill. Brown, who went so close to an absolute world-class goal. That would have gone viral, I'm sure of it.
Oh, absolutely. But you can just... Brown picked up the ball then, and I had a quick look at Vasta. It was on the front foot, and the second Brown got the ball.
Clark's still down.
Still down dealing with cramp. The second Brown got the ball, Vasta took 3 steps back. So now it's in the conscious of her mind. So potentially that space in behind is there to open up.
Karen Clark is struggling big style. She was led on the sideline. I don't think anyone had seen her. I don't think the Belconnen physio had got round there.
One of those
just kind of snuck in down the side there.
Yeah, and she, you know, she's a threat off something like this, like a corner. She's a threat, and she's not going to be one. Here, you think with that cramp, she's not going to be able to jump. And the question becomes...
Take her 10 minutes to get back. Brown with the corner. It's a good one into the penalty area, and it's swung across the face to goal. It's the last action of a really open first half of extra time. And Matt, I sound surprised about that, because when you get to extra time in major finals, it's usually really cagey.
Yeah, absolutely. We're accustomed to seeing everybody lock it up, because that nervousness comes in, and it's, I don't want to be the person to lose the game, so I'll lock it right up and make sure that that nothing can happen. And it has been free-flowing. We've seen chances at both ends there, and players struggling now, physically struggling with the toll of the game. We mentioned it's a warm day, you know, in the early 20s, and it doesn't sound hot, but when you've been playing in 10 degrees all year, at the end of the season, it takes a toll. And are the key players going to be able to get through? Karen Clark's sitting in the corner, struggling, and she's vital for them going forward.
Antti Jagarinic has given many team talks over the last 10 years or so that he's been in charge of Belconnen United. Been in this situation before, but few will be as important to him as this one. His last one that he's got, the last chance he's got to put some advice out in case we go, unless we go to penalties. Nick Broznic is playing his side's heart out with 10 players. It's been a phenomenal effort from them to curtail such a potent strike force. 15 minutes to go. Going to put you on the spot, Matt.
Yep.
Who do you think is going to come through and why?
I think it's going to be Belconnen. I think they've got the better run, they've got the player up, and they've been in this situation time and time again, and they just seem to find a way to win. They've always found a way to win. If it doesn't go to penalties, it's absolutely Belconnen. If it does, it then becomes a bit of a lottery, but I'd still probably back Belconnen in, depending on, and you know, here's the asterisk, depending on what happens with Chantel Jones. But I think Belconnen they just seem to find a way. They're just getting that momentum, and they seem to look like they're working it out. Whereas Canberra FC are holding on, and they're waiting for that one opportunity on the counter.
A couple of notes to tell you about while we wait for the second half of extra time to start. Socceroos obviously coming to Canberra on the 10th of October. Tickets available from Ticketek for their game against Nepal. If you like walking football, the 2019-20 Canberra Foot and Ankle Clinic walking football season gets underway on Wednesday, 16th of October. And Aldi Mini Roos are up and running for the school holiday clinics as well for kids aged 4 to 11 from the 9th to 11th of October. For more details on all of that and everything football in Canberra, go to capitalfootball.com.au or buy your tickets for the Socceroos. Stick around and watch the extra time second period here, and also the men's grand final, which has been pushed back to 6:15, Gungahlin versus Tigers FC. And whilst we're really looking forward to that one, and we're quite happy to wait an extra 15 minutes because this has been very entertaining.
This has been great. The extra time, as you mentioned, Russ, has been open and free-flowing, and David Jordan loves free football. He's getting some great free football here in that first 15 minutes, and the hope is that it carries on. The only question mark, and I've backed Belconnen in, Karen Clark. If a Goldstein's running at her, has she got enough left in the legs to turn and go without cramping up? That's a big...
Wondering how many players are going to be left standing at the end of this 15 minutes. It's been an epic battle between two sides, and really neither of them deserve to lose this one, but someone is going to go home disappointed. We will find out at the end of 15 minutes plus, maybe. I'm not going to say the dreaded penalty shootout, because everyone loves penalties if you're not taking part.
Yeah, that's right.
From a neutral viewpoint.
Yeah, and you can see the Belconnen bench just behind where that ball's gone out, starting to warm up. So Anthony Jagarinic thinking about his next move potentially and how he could influence the game.
Churchill finds Gill. Open it up for Barkley. She tries her luck. Should be easy for James. The question mark is still there, of course, about whether Chantal Jones, if he does go to penalties, will be given the gloves, or will they trust in Nat Vasta, who is a good penalty shot stopper herself? She's only conceded about 10 goals or so this season as well. So,
yeah, Vasta's a quality keeper, and the form that she's in today, it would give you pause. If you wanted to go chase the game, you might leave her in there so you can make an attacking sub with either maybe shift Agnew into a higher, wider area or bring Uja on to make the difference.
Or Jones could go up front,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here's Brown. Michaela Day. Jaloka tries to get away from Tamara. She stuck to her really well all game. Lauren Keir delivering into the penalty area, but not the best one. Of all the conversations there throughout the week about Chantal Jones and her, I doubt anybody's really thought of the scenario of her coming on to play up front, being involved in the shootout, scoring the winning penalty, but not being in goal, and Vasta saving the winning one. I doubt that was one of the thoughts that came through.
Look, I'll be honest, Russ, until you mentioned and reminded me that she'd been a number 9 in a previous time here at Canberra FC, it hadn't entered my brain. And coming back from an ACL, I think the assumption was that if she was going to play a part, it would be play a part in goals. But you're absolutely right. She can hit a ball, and if all she's got to do at the end of the day is step up and smack it in, then maybe that is the change that you make, because you've got a higher rate of her scoring than you do maybe some of your other players that are already out there, with zero fatigue as well.
And more experience than the other two substitutes as well, so maybe that comes into the question. That's 12 and a half minutes away, that thought process. In the meantime, Canberra need to defend this free kick, otherwise all of that discussion is moot and pointless. Karen Clark, who was struggling with cramp to deliver. Decent one towards the far post. Very good one, in fact, and it just eluded both Rashart and Fauna. It was either too long for Rashart and too short for Fauna.
Yeah, it's just missed the forehead of Rashart there, but a great delivery from Clark. And you start to wonder, you mentioned before, Russ, that you start to think, you know, these chances zip away. Is it not my day? Is it not my day? And the trick for Belconnen will be to ignore any kind of negative thoughts around that, because they are dominating the extra time. Now they've just got to capitalise on it.
Well, they haven't been pushed much this season, Belconnen United. When they have, it's been pushed by Canberra FC. Memories go back to that Federation Cup semi-final, the 125th minute, the last kick of the game, a Caitlin Munoz penalty, broke Canberra FC hearts. Nick Brosnich would be stood there on the sideline with his three-quarter length pants on, thinking, I hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Once a season is too much anyway at that stage.
Yeah, and you kind of hope it wouldn't. You really want it, if it's going to be dissolved by a penalty, you want it to be in the penalty shootout. You don't want it to be because of a foul, or you want it for a bit of brilliance earlier, as you mentioned before.
And it was at that end, Matt.
That's true. Hopefully there's no PTSD going on for players in the Canberra FC jersey at the moment.
Hopefully their memories aren't as long as ours. That's a free kick. There's a card coming out here from Michaela Day, a yellow one for leaving the foot in. The first of the Belconnen players to get a card. She joins Vanessa Ryan and the unfortunate Galich, who's departed the scene. Picked up 2 of them.
You can see Belconnen have loaded their back line, and Canberra FC looking for potentially a flick on. Goldstein just floating on her own. So they need to be careful of that.
Vasta's been charged with a free kick, and it's well out on the touchline. She wants to get this right. I'm sure she will. Good hefty connection downfield. Berkeley beats Jaloka to it. Churchill to clip it forwards. It's taking players noticeably a little bit longer to get up when they've gone down. Now, why not? They have put heart and soul into this. And you feel for whoever's going to come out on the losing side. Plenty of time to think about it in the postseason.
Yes. Losing the grand final is always the worst. Not only have you lost it, but it's the last game that you play for a while. And I'm just looking at the pocket of space that's in behind Palombi in the centre of the park there, that if Goldstein can occupy or Grace Gill can step into, it might cause Belconnen some problems.
Palombi head down going towards goal, but runs into the not inconsiderable presence of Caitlin Munoz, and that ball forward has invited Jaloka to chase. Vasta, who hasn't put a foot wrong all afternoon. Looking back at the save she made from Jaloka's header as well, it was an incredible stop to claw that out. Looked like it was in all the way.
Yeah, I'm still not sure how she did that. She can hold her head up high today no matter what happens. Her and Goldstein have certainly been the two key players for Canberra FC and have ensured that it's gone to extra time.
Palumbi turning, heading forwards for Ryan. Managed to keep herself on sides. Nowhere to go though, but does well to win the throw. And Alice Churchill might be charged with sending this one in towards the penalty area. We've got 9 minutes to play.
And not a lot of movement on the bench from either side at the moment. A few players sitting down and stretching.
Munoz. You can hear the chants from the Canberra FC fans trying to get behind their tired team. Tamaro, nice touch forwards. McLaughlin sends it wide. Churchill delivers into the middle, looking for Ryan. Bit too close for James.
It's got the early release and they could be on here, Belconnen.
Yeah, Pike's got a lot of space to run into. Grace Gill trying to shut it down. Bobbin looks to take on Wright. She's rolled her and Bobbin's away here. And Bridget Wright got just enough on that ball.
Good recovery by Wright there to get the toe in.
Pike gets ahead of Gill, who uses experience just to ease her off it and bring it away for Canberra FC. Now looking for the ball forward towards Palumbi. Clark, lazy swing of the boots. Nice touch from Gill. Outstanding ball. And Palumbi goes past the challenge. What a touch that was at this stage of the game. Palumbi and Mickey Day.
And smart by Day there. She's got in front, she's had the ball, and she's felt the nibble from Palumbi early, and then just sucked her right in.
What about that touch from Grace Gill, though?
It's absolutely brilliant. At this stage of the game, in this sort of a competition, this level of competition, casual as you like. Just absolutely perfect.
Goldstein, rather miscued header, asks Catherine Brown a question. Swings it towards the far post. It was dipping. I tell you what, Nat Vasta would have been a little bit worried for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we saw the long-range shot from just beyond halfway earlier, and that one, as it whips, comes early. The trick now will be, as Vasta starts to sit a bit deeper potentially while Brown's on the ball, can you drop it a bit shorter for the runners? You have Munoz and Bobbin arriving late there.
Apart from a goal, this is everything we wanted from a grand final. Both teams going at it hammer and tongs. Bobbin spinning into the penalty area, looks to cut it back. It's on Brown's left foot, leaves it for Munoz. Churchill blocks and then gets rid of it. Rashart. Where's this going? Right with the header. Fauna picks up the pieces. Looking for a runner. Has to go it alone because Bobbin is straight offside. Decent ball in as well towards Munoz. Jaloka. Pike. Munoz wants it again. It's chipped in towards her, but Churchill was in the way and Berkeley gets rid of it. Only as far as Clark. Tried to bring Lauren Keir into it, but Alice Churchill, who has been an absolute Trojan at left back today.
Yeah, phenomenal game from Goldstein, and you can see just...
It's opened up for Fauna briefly. She drives at a goal, and it's gone wide. I think Vassar again had it covered. It's an opportunity for Alexia Fauna.
Yeah, and that's why she was brought on there. She's found that little pocket of space in between the lines, and she'll be disappointed that she didn't hit the target. But again, Belconnen's starting to open up, starting to get on top with 5 minutes to go.
Munoz over the top, bobbing in behind briefly. Kelly Munoz playing further forward than she has the whole game, just being that link that they perhaps were missing.
Yeah, and we spoke about it earlier with Woodman, who found good pockets of space but was kind of missed, and I guess with the presence of Munoz, you can't avoid her.
Ooh. Gill dummied it, I think, and Palumbi didn't quite get on the end of it. Day still seems full of energy. Michaela Day hardly seems fair. Here she is. Can she pick a pass forward? It's a good one too, towards Jaloka. Just slowed up on her though and allowed Canberra FC to get numbers behind the ball. Brown. Churchill blocks again. Might as well put that on repeat. Another decent ball in, lovely pass. Munoz got the touch.
I think that's a corner too.
And it must have come off of, who was that in the middle defending? Was it Berkeley back there again? I'm not sure. I think it might have been just
tracking Munoz and
stretching now.
Yeah, a bit of cramp there, but good run and a nice little ball in and an important touch by Berkeley. It's sometimes
it was Berkeley, yeah.
Yeah, those little flicks can be a nightmare for a keeper because they pick up pace and they just change direction enough.
Brown with the corner, 5 minutes to go. Swinging it in, Pike's in there with their header. Might fall for Vanessa Ryan. Goldstein. Palumbi ploughing a low furrow up front at the moment. Bobbin back to Brown, another delicious ball in, and Churchill again with a superb piece of defending. The flag was up for offside anyway, but Alex Churchill, take a bow. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, she's been fantastic there, and ultimate pressure on and clearing the ball and clearing lines. I mean, that's what you want. She's the leader of the team, and she's been fantastic. And you can just see Belconnen there loading up early and looking for that ball in. But again, the links through midfield are absolutely key. And for Canberra FC now with 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes to go, it's survivor mode. It really needs to be.
There's a smell in the air, and it's not the Kransky that's just turned up in the commentary box. Not for us, unfortunately. It's penalties, I think. I could smell it. Is it coming? Is there going to be a dramatic conclusion to this one? 3.5 minutes. Palumbi is going to be lucky not to see yellow for that one.
Yeah, and look, credit to Palumbi. It's a smart foul there. It's an absolutely smart foul. And referees just had a word and let it go. Calm down. Yeah.
Nice to see the two players acknowledging that.
But smart foul, because Bobbin's away and it's 2v1 because Pike had overloaded. So fantastic. And
here's a change.
Here we go.
Chantel Jones is coming on in goal, it would seem. She's kitted up in goal. And Nat Vasta,
not happy.
She's not pulling a Kepper, is she?
Yeah. And she's given the bird to the bench and thrown her gloves away. And I dare say Vasta won't be back next year.
She's not happy, is she?
She's not
and
happy.
You can see it, you can understand it.
Absolutely. She's been
absolutely brilliant today.
Yep, she's been there today. She's been brilliant today. She's been brilliant all year. And
I do feel for her, actually.
100%. Her and Goldstein are the two people who have ensured that Jones is in a position to come on. And it's a bold move by Brosnich, but it's dangerous too. There's no gameplay here other than training, and we know games are slightly different.
Poor old Nat Vasta sees her final curtailed, and it's something that we thought might happen as it's knocked in, and here's an opportunity for Munoz, and it's all moot anyway. Caitlin Munoz sticks one in from close range, and Belconnen United make the breakthrough. Hang on a minute. There was a card there for Jalocca, I think, as well.
Yeah, there was.
But the goal has been given.
Some aggressive celebration in front of Jones there, and Jalocca and Brown not short of a word on letting Jones know that maybe that was the wrong call. But
well, it's hard to say that she would have got there or Vasta would have got there anyway. But the goal for Belconnen United, and they are celebrating because with 2 minutes of stoppage time to go, just as she did in the Federation Cup, Caitlin Munoz stole in unmarked and just prods it home past Chantel Jones. She's not able to touch the keeper.
No, it still hasn't. The ball's gone straight in the back of the net. And we mentioned about gameplay there, and you just wonder, I know there's no guarantees that Vasta would have got there, but she's game aware, she's ready. She's been on the front foot all day. Could she have potentially stepped in front and got that ball before Munoz had the chance? And
lightning strikes twice at Deakin Stadium for Canberra FC. They're going to launch the kitchen sink at this. Everybody's going forward. The question marks will be all about that as well. The question marks will be about the red card. The question marks will be about the substitution that Nick Brosnich did. You make those calls as a coach. You live and die by them as a coach.
That's right.
Here's Bobbin looking to seal it all. Off she goes on the run. Brown with her. Bobbin still going. Tamaro across. McLaughlin makes the clearance. We're into the final 30 seconds. It's a dramatic conclusion again. Penalties look certain.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're Lauren Keir here, you might be questioning the pressure of the ball, just making sure it takes a little bit longer.
Leah Carnegie's going to get some ground final action, albeit a very little amount.
Yeah, and a smart substitution by Anne. It just drowns that clock out a little bit more. Bobbin enthusiastically starting to sprint off the pitch and goes past Jalocca and Day, who asks the question, what are you doing? You're tired.
Slow down.
Start to walk.
Conversation off the ball as well between Pike and Goldstein, and Brittany Palumbi as well. I'm just wondering about the substitution. Don't want to harp on about it, Maddie, but the annoyance factor for the player as well. Is it worthwhile?
Look, for me, no. I think the short-term gain is absolutely ruined by your long-term success. So really what you're saying now is that thanks, but no thanks, Vasta. And for Chantel Jones, for Canberra FC, they need Chantel Jones to be their number one next year, because I can't imagine Vasta coming back from that. And it starts to ask questions of other players. Well, if you used me all year and now all of a sudden a former national player appears and it's exciting, what happens to me? So there's question marks to be asked there. And
Vasta's still in the corner, just on the edge of your picture there, being consoled by teammates. She is distraught at being taken off. And like you said, she might not have saved that, but she might have.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. And it's a situation that Chantal Jones probably wasn't too happy with either, when you think about it.
Yeah, it's not. And, you can question the decision to the cows come home. And,
And we probably will, mate.
We probably will. Nick Brosnich saw the opportunity. He's made the change. The question is, do you make the change when there's an immediate goal on threat, or do you wait till the ball's at the other end? And looking at the time, Nick, I assumed, felt this was possibly his last opportunity to make the change, and that's what he's done.
As I said, as a coach, you live and die by those decisions, and Nick Brosnich will no doubt have a period of soul-searching around that, which will involve Chantal Jones and Nat Vasta, of course. Just we wonder. We saw it at a really high level with Kepa, I can't say his surname, it's too long. The Spanish fella at Chelsea in the Carabao Cup final, and they managed to get over that, of course. I mean, they're professional footballers. Yeah. This is a little bit different.
Yeah, the difference there, though, the keeper refused to come off.
Yeah.
Dead set refused to come off. So Vasta, to her credit, has not been happy with the decision, but copped it. And
what they have got is a defeat. Belconnen United send Anthony Jagarinic out as a winner again. Getting the hugs from his bench and from Katie Woodman. Nick Brosnich comes across to shake hands. There is Nat Vasta. You can see she's distraught, but she's done her bit today, and she was magnificent in goal. She made that save from Nicole Jaloka to keep it at 0-0. Was absolutely brilliant. There's questions to be asked around it. Perhaps now's not the time, but a game again that's been decided late on. Caitlin Munoz at that end, like she did in the Fed Cup. It's almost like it's deja vu for Nick Brosnich, Canberra FC, and it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's right. Almost in the same spot. Only the last time Munoz got fouled and she had the penalty, but she snuck in again, and they'll be having nightmares about that. Full credit to Anthony Jagarinic. He signs off what has been an absolutely amazing dynasty with a cup, and there's some players that are absolutely fuming with the decision, who can't understand, and you can see Grace Gill consoling some of the young ones who I think are more concerned not about the result, but are actually concerned or upset with the decision that the coach has made. And full credit to Nicole Jaloka, who, when the final whistle went, ran straight over to Nat Vasa to console her, acknowledging what had happened. And a majority of the Canberra FC players headed there as well. So
you mentioned it, Matt. Does it tarnish the season? Does it mean that they've got a lot of work to do between now and next season? For Nick Brosnich, losing the players is probably worse than losing the game.
Absolutely, and there's going to be a lot of wounds that need to be healed, and these are not just losing grand final wounds. This is now, do I want to play for this coach anymore? And, I hate to say that, because as a coach as myself, I know I have upset players, and I know there are players who would never play for me again. But they're for different reasons, and this was such a critical decision that got made, and the thing that mattered, it absolutely blew up in their face straight away. And that's the bigger aspect. And there's a lot of wounds to be healed here, and I don't know how they do it. I'll be honest, I don't know how they do it.
Well, let's talk positively. Let's talk about Belconnen United. This dynasty, this juggernaut, just keeps going on and on and on. They find a way all the time. They had a bit of a helping hand today. They were down to 10, but when they needed that moment, they've got the players to step up and do it. I'm not sure how long Caitlin Munoz can keep doing this. She seems to be getting, like a fine wine, better with age, and it's her moment today that's won the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and knowing Munoz, she likes a fine wine. And look, I'm the same age as Caitlin Munoz, and I can't imagine doing what she's consistently doing. She's having influences on games. She is changing the way that she plays, and that's a credit. And Belconnen, as you said, they have found a way. And we spoke about how in the start of the way back in the first half of regular time, and they had Day in control, running the ball. And the second they started to get that midfield back into the game and back in control, they started to run all over the top. Full credit to Belconnen. And you look at that juggernaut in the dynasty, the amount of players that they have brought through that Belconnen system, your Jalokas, your Bobbins, Day and Woodman, I think, are the only two that have been there from the start. But the culture that they have created makes players want to go there. There's players who are playing reserve grade at Belconnen who were happy to sit there under Ant because they know they get their time and they know the way that they'd be treated. And that is absolute credit. I'm really happy for the big man, or as David Jordan once referred to him, the bear in the big blue house. It's a well-deserved option to sign off, and I wish them all the best next week when they go up to play Sydney Uni in that WNPL Challenge Cup there. But Russia, outstanding today. absolutely outstanding. She saved Goldstein at one end, Rashard at the other, had a massive influential role to play there. You know, there were a couple of jitters. Sally James spilt one early when we had that missed clearance from her that she smothered and cleared up very, very well. But the leaders, when it counted, Rashard, Clark, Munoz, Day, really started to guide the teams round at the back end of that second half of extra time, and even in the first half as well. So full credit to them. They've absolutely deserved it. Undefeated all year. I think you said, Russ, it was 105 goals in a 16-game season is absolutely phenomenal, and full credit to them, and are deserved champions once more. And yep, people will talk about the red card, they'll talk about the substitution for Canberra FC, but you can't deny what Belconnen have done and what Ant has created in his 10 years, and congratulations to him.
Champions, though, that know that they've been in a match, Matt.
Absolutely.
They've been pushed from start to finish by Canberra FC. Many thanks for your comments, not just today, but for the season. If you're not on the bench next season coaching somewhere, maybe this team in blue, not going to put you on the spot. But who knows, Matty? We'd love to see you back up here again. Comments have been fantastic. For those of you sticking around, watch the presentation here. Remember, 6:15 now, NPL Grand Final men's kickoff. Garland United versus Tigers FC. Neither of those sides have won a title for many, many years. It should be an absolute cracker. So join us for 6:15 for that one. We'll leave you here with the news that Belconnen United have done it again. Caitlin Munoz with a goal 2 minutes from the end of extra time. Heartbreak for Canberra FC. They'll keep plugging. They'll keep pushing. It's Antti Jagarin. It's his last match. He's gone out a champion again. It's finished Belconnen United 1, Canberra FC 0.